Apparently we are.
We are live just that fast. Hello, everybody.
Good evening. How is everyone in chat? Hope you're all well.
Hope everyone's good. Welcome to the show. We made it. It was the second episode. If you are in America, or really anywhere, I guess, we're going to move it ahead 1 hour next week because I forgot old Platoony boy in the make-believe world of the UK. Went ahead 1 hour.
The bit that invented time. Yeah, we've changed the time again. So now we're 5 hours, I think, ahead of you guys. I'm not
Are
sure.
you guys going to finally get rid of that, like we're demanding?
Oh God, I hope so, but
hope so,
probably not. Just because they like messing with our heads once every few months. Yeah.
I like that the heart attack numbers increase every year when they
They
remove
do.
you out.
It's like heart attacks, traffic incidents, crime of various descriptions. It causes, weird health defects in people, which I suppose if you hate people is an excuse to keep it. But
Well, the fatter America gets, the faster we'll be dropping like flies, so it's not a big deal.
well, in this country, it's sort of a sign that you're unpardonably conservative if you believe that midday should correlate with the moment at which the sun is in the middle of the sky, as opposed to when some French guy a few hundred years ago decided midday should be.
Besides shitting on daylight savings time, which we all hate, we have a guest, and I am super excited to bring her on. She is one of the biggest influences on my YouTube channel. I was watching her forever before I started mine, and she's right up there with some of my favorites, and she was gracious enough to come on our show. So everybody, please meet Alteori.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you, Alti?
I'm okay.
Good. I really appreciate you coming on here. We have some topics to start out with. Have you watched the John Wick series?
I have, yes.
Did you see the new one?
No, I didn't see the new one yet. I'm supposed to see it soon, but and I actually have to recap, but I remember the first one very vividly for obvious reasons.
Yeah. Platoon, did you finish the entire series in the last 24 hours?
Not the entire series. So I watched the first one last night, and then I put the second one on after it, and I got really bored, and then I got drunk, and then I ordered a 12-string guitar, and then I was researching that after I'd paid for it. Like, what have I just bought for no very good reason?
So I watched a fucking weird evening for you, man.
Yeah, it's a standard evening over here. So I paid attention to the first one. I didn't pay attention to the second one.
No,
I skipped the third one because and then I just finished watching the fourth one. So I've seen 3 of 4, but not always in that order.
A lot of people in the chat, if they've watched Mr. Brown, certainly know how I feel about 4. Well, what did you think of it then?
Oh yeah, well, I don't think I need to do spoilers. Can we do spoilers? This is another good question.
Well,
it's
no, because you haven't seen it yet.
No
I
spoilers
haven't
then.
seen it yet.
Yeah, so we don't want to spoil it for her.
Just get like an overview of your thoughts.
Yeah, thought overview. It didn't make me think a great deal, which is not a good start for a thought overview. It was more like it's a greatest hits compilation of action films. So you can see very clearly all of its many inspirations. You can watch any particular scene. You can say, oh, I remember that from this film. I remember in particular The Warriors, which comes in sort of the third third of the film. Heavy Warriors influence with a certain sort of set piece dynamic. Visually very impressive, but and we were sort of chatting about this yesterday as well. It's okay to do a greatest hits action film, and it can be really enjoyable, and people can be entertained by that. It's not my thing, but I understand why people would find that entertaining and enjoyable. What perplexes me is why it's so popular, because if your thing is a greatest hits, then you're basically just doing callbacks to other good films. What are you actually doing? And is this not the same? Oh yeah, go ahead. I have an
answer for this criticism. So think of it like this. I'm a guitarist, right? And I'll go and buy a ton of guitars. And to most people, they all sound the fucking same, right? But if you're an action movie fan, you watch John Wick, and it's been unbelievably influential in the action film genre, like unbelievably influential. It's right up there with The Matrix as far as like what it's done for the action genre. And people who aren't into that aren't really going to know why or how. But The Matrix had kung fu, and this has what's considered gunfu.
But gunfu, you can find gunfu in Equilibrium, which is the Christian Bale film.
Are you
years
saying
ago.
Yeah, but just because it existed before doesn't mean that they can't perfect it. And
It doesn't mean they can't perfect it, but if your argument is that it's done something for the action genre, then it must have done something that hasn't happened before, no?
No, because the Matrix is influential. They didn't start wire work. They didn't start the rotating camera thing. They made it popularized and perfected it and did it in the. That's why there's unbelievably classic shots in those movies, and that's what the John Wick series is. Any setups and payoffs that are satisfying are kind of gravy on top about why you go see it. And I understand your argument about like, story. That's usually me too, but there are exceptions to those rules. Like if I go see the movie Terrifier, which is one of my favorite slasher movies, I'm not expecting a great story. I'm expecting a good slasher movie. You know what I mean? And I kind of feel like that with John Wick.
Well, I mean, as someone who, I mean, I can understand where Little Platoon is coming from because he's obviously seen more action movies than we probably have. So, for example, I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan. And when I see other movies or shows like The Mandalorian taking shots for shots from the Jurassic Park franchise and constantly reusing them and rinsing and repeating, it becomes kind of annoying because it's like, wow, there's a difference between paying homage and then doing something to death. Mm-hmm. And I guess it's a different way of perceiving it. But for someone who hasn't watched many action films, I've watched I think it's The Transporter with my father. It's one of his favorite films.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
But not a lot after that. So I can't really readily recognize what's being ripped off beat for beat from other movies. For me, the only reason why I love John Wick is because we were introduced to the character via his puppy dying, which was very traumatic for me. And it became, yes, get revenge. And now it just seems like a continuation of that story and I'm already invested. And that's why I watch it and I like Keanu Reeves and you get to see a bunch of action in lieu with it. So it's like action with the skin of this guy's doing this because he someone killed his dog and now he's trying to get out of the situation. That's what it's like for me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that and I agree that it's entertaining, but so the first one, because we were talking about this on Mr. Brown's channel yesterday, and I said, well, I hadn't bothered with John Wick because I'd seen Taken. And once you've seen Taken, you're familiar with the genre. And I was told, no, that's A, really hot take, and B, a really shit take, because it's nothing like Taken at all. So then I went and watched the first John Wick film, and instead of the daughter being kidnapped, it's the dog being killed, and otherwise it's substantively the same film.
Yeah, but all you're complaining about is the setup of stuff that, we've seen 100 times, but it's still beyond the point, though. The point of John Wick was supposed to be a throwback 80s action movie style with a B-movie plot. And like you can like or dislike that all you want. But if you're into it, you cannot say that John Wick doesn't do it fucking the best that I've ever seen it done. And so it's a matter of taste. And then once you get into it, if you like that genre, then we can start talking about subjectivity and everything like that. But reality is the stuff in John Wick Chapter 4, as far as the action goes, I've never seen it better. It was the action scenes for me in John Wick 4 are like stories within stories. And in fact, Mega Geek too, when he comes on later, he'll testify to this too. He actually said that first was
better than the first one.
No, I think because the first one is much more grounded, and that was the original point. And then if you're going to keep doing John Wick, you're going to get a little more wild and wild. And then by this point, it's like the first one was meta too, but this is the filmmakers are right there with you. This isn't spoiling anything, but he falls down like 222 stairs.
Well, when you say he falls down, I mean, he quite clearly throws himself down several times.
Yeah. But, but that's the point. Like it goes on and on and on. And then he stands up and he's like, like, fuck, that sucked. And that's the point though. And you can like or dislike it. Like I said, you can like that kind of thing or dislike it, but
it's for the ridiculousness of it.
Right. It's
like the Transporter when he was driving the car on the side of the skyscraper. That was the ridiculousness of action movies, so I can kind of see where you're coming from as well.
Yeah, and
it's
it's
a
what
subgenre that's elevated by just the best filmmakers that do this kind of thing.
I'm just not sure what the point is. It's yeah, okay, it's an enjoyable thing. It's like jazz. I don't like jazz. Jazz on in the background. It's like you pay enough attention to think, yeah, there's some talent involved in that. It seems quite classy. But if you pay attention to it, you realize you're listening to jazz, and then you want to be doing something else. So it's like same thing with this film. Having it on in the background, it's an action flick, and it does violence well. Innovative pretexts for creative violence. It just does these new, brilliant setups for ever more extravagant gun porn.
Perfect.
And that's
That's
which I can see why that's entertaining. But my question is, why is that necessarily? Why is it so popular? I think I'm not
Because it's
criticizing it with that
memorable.
question.
It's-
Is it though?
Because
Yes.
it's a guy who lost his dog in a horrible way.
He did lose the dog.
Very. I don't know about over in the UK, but over here it's very ingrained in the cultural zeitgeist. John Wick, the whole dog concept, and the stoic. He's our new modern day kind of stoic action hero, and you can kind of pick those from your decade to decade. In my review that I'm going to do, I actually compare it to like this is your modern day kind of masculine hero at this point. And in the 80s, you had the trend right up the ass, steroid induced, muscle bound action heroes, which is charming and all on its own too. But this is unabashedly masculine, and it does it in that he kind of looks like an everyman, but you throw a real slick suit on him, and he becomes
and it's bulletproof, so he can't die,
Yes.
and no one ever thinks to shoot him anywhere except on the suit.
because he goes like this. He holds it up.
Yeah, it's the Mandalorian problem, though. Once he's got the armor on, you know he's not going to die. So why am I invested in this scene?
But that's the point of John Wick, and not the point of Mando, though. Like the point of John Wick is like,
Yeah,
he's
Mando's
gonna,
just stupid.
like, how
Sorry.
is John gonna get out of this one? Obviously he's probably gonna shoot his way out. Well,
It's
how
kinda
creative
like
are they gonna get?
One
with
Punch
that?
Man, you know?
I never
kind of-
watched One Punch Man.
I need to see it.
I
People
do
keep
too.
telling me I need to watch that. But
I
haven't
really
seen it
do
either.
too.
Oh my god.
I'm Omar Sabor says not all people from the UK are so stuck up.
Well, that's
Oh,
thanks to the
no.
that's the American influence degrading our population.
Ooh, Iceman says Bourne trilogy is better. Totally different.
I
man.
would agree.
Totally
yeah.
different.
The guy that lost his memory, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
History of Violence. History of Violence was amazing. I remember that.
Oh, that movie was so fucking good.
I only
Yeah,
remember
that was
one scene
really
from
good.
it.
But again,
but I remember I liked it.
as extraordinary as like the Bourne series is when it comes to like action and stuff, is far, far, far more grounded than John Wick. Like they're just like they are of the action genre, but John Wick's in its subgenre of that. Just like again, I keep bringing back Terrifier because it's a good comparator anyway, because it's a subgenre and it's a very specific, it's an acquired taste, if you will. And that's how John Wick started too. Context wise, in 2014 when it came out, it was a sleeper hit. No one actually expected it to be huge. They probably didn't expect it to be huge. It was made on a very low budget. In fact, Chapter 4 is still made on a pretty low budget by blockbuster standards at $90 million. And that was made considerably lower. And the reason why it even came to be was because Keanu Reeves was like, I want to do my own action movie and create my own character. So the people who actually ended up making it, I'm impressed too, but because they were not directors, they were not writers. You'd probably laugh and say, well, obviously. But they were stunt coordinators, and they worked with Keanu to create this movie, create this new character. And they're probably just as shocked as you that it absolutely blew up. But there's a reason that there are so many memes with John, and they're not like the mocking memes like with Morbius or something. Like they're made with love.
I might not like the film, but I'm not going to insult it by comparing it to Morbius.
Yeah,
that's just beyond the pale. But the popularity thing is an interesting one though, because I wonder, and we were chatting about this last night as well. I wonder if let's say John Wick, go back in time. This film came out in the 1980s as opposed to the 2020s, and it came out in an era when you've got plentiful action heroes and a media industry that doesn't seem to hate men. Would this be popular? And the
It
corollary
probably
question
would be
is,
popular.
would it be as popular?
I don't think it would have been as popular.
No, it might not have been.
I mean,
as
the
popular,
first
but
movie would have been, because I mean, I don't know many movies from that. Are there movies where puppies are killed, and then this guy
no,
is like,
but there's definitely like, I mean, it's a revenge tale, as simple and as
Yeah.
old as time as revenge, the revenge tale. So,
I think the first movie would have been popular. I don't know if the movies after that, like the subsequent movies, would have been as popular as
I
they
feel
are
like
now.
there would be a much more likely scenario where if the first one was popular in the 80s, the quality of each one went downhill. Whereas a lot of people would argue they've maintained their quality and then some. Because I think part 4 is the best since the first one, even though
They've
quite
certainly
different.
added to it. I mean, it is a very simplistic revenge tale in the first one. I don't personally find that the dog death being particularly compelling, but I can understand why it might be
A lot
seen
of
as
people
such.
did,
But
yeah.
they do add, but you know, it's got all of the hallmarks of classic masculinity. You know, he has the muscle car, he has the great house, and there's not a huge amount of, you know, pussy ass story to concern yourself with. It's just violence. He's oppressed, he's put down, and he takes it upon himself to earn his own redemption through the means that he has at his disposal. It's still very, very simplistic. After that, it does seem to add a bit more. It certainly becomes more classy. I mean, it creates this semblance of a world on top of itself with the Continental and the
high table.
the high table, that weird semi-Illuminati thing that comes into it, but also with this very, very clear hallmark and callback to. So, well, there's Western influences, obviously, with shootouts and things like that, but that classiness that you add as well. Everyone starts wearing very expensive suits, and they go to very nice hotels, and the backdrops and the tapestries are lovely, and it's all gold, and it's shiny, and it's very well performed, and it's very rich looking. So it does elevate itself beyond its relatively meager beginnings. It's just that, yeah, that's all very superficial. I mean, someone did ask, I don't know if I can find it on the spot. There was a super chat earlier. I'm going to pull this one up.
I
now.
know. I only found a couple. I missed a few already.
So MJ UK asks, do you think John Wick 4 does the same through action as Avatar 2 does through CGI? Which I think is an interesting question, right?
Because it is. We discussed this a little bit last night. I'd love to dive into this.
Yes.
But you go ahead. You were on a tangent there.
Well, no. That was so like the basic idea there, and you know, we've covered Avatar. I've covered Avatar a lot, and resent actually speaking about it again. Why did I read that super chat? But anyway, the argument about Avatar that I made is that it's fine to enjoy it. I don't mind if you enjoy it. It looks really pretty, whatever. But if you're turning around and telling me it's a good film because it looks really pretty, then you fundamentally miss the point of what cinema is supposed to be as a narrative storytelling device. And people who say, well, the visual effects were stunning and groundbreaking. Yeah, sure, okay, fine. That's a necessary condition, not a sufficient one to making a good film. So if the argument doesn't hold for Avatar, that just through innovative visual effects pushing forward cinematography, it becomes a good film, why does it hold for John Wick that it pushes forward fight scene choreography and cinematography and pushes forward the genre?
The action genre is elevated because of John Wick, because the action genre is typically supposed to be simple and to the point like that. Avatar, would you say it's one of the best sci-fi movies ever?
Oh, it's one of the most irritating sci-fi movies ever.
Right? Absolutely fucking not. It's one of the best. Yeah. You would say that about John Wick because we're talking about context here. Like Avatar 2, especially with James Cameron saying, like, not only are we pushing visual boundaries, but it's just an incredible story of family and blah, blah, blah. And like, you know, it's, just incredible. And then the story is total ass and the effects aren't. But
it's like nobody watches adult movies for the story. Crap, I said that out loud. I did not mean to say that. Oh my God. I mean, well, okay, so like you're right about the context. Like if you're watching a certain movie for a reason, like action movies are kind of like anime and live action. They're there for people to see action, not to get a story. The story is a minimal part of action films. That's why they're called action films, I think.
And never would I argue with you that John Wick has a superior story. Like never.
No, it doesn't.
All that other stuff, like for that in context, it's a revenge tale. Do you have a fun, goofy, compelling reason for him to do it? Yeah, because yes, the dog death, like for Brittany, my girlfriend, like she was very upset. She was super upset about it.
Yeah,
which I totally understand. But that was also the point. Like, I remember when John Wick came out and they're like, hey, you see that new Keanu Reeves movie? Yeah. He goes and kills like 100 people because someone killed his dog. And I was like, that sounds fucking ridiculous. And when you watch it, you're like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be. You pissed off what you didn't know, the Russian people. You pissed off the most badass person on the planet. And now he's going to exact revenge no matter what. And it's not just the dog too. Like, it is connected to his wife who just passed away. Like,
I was
there's
gonna say that.
little more depth to it than just the dog. But it is it's supposed to be an absurd concept. It was an absurd concept. There's a perfect reason in an absurd world to exact revenge on a bunch of hitmen and mafia bosses.
I think I'll concede with Little Platoon a little bit, because one thing I will say, trying to be as not as biased as I have been, because I like it.
I'm super biased.
I'm trying not to be, because I see where he's coming. The first movie was very impactful, maybe even the second, because now it becomes about revenge. But he wanted to get out of that life, and they had to bring him back in, and that's the way he goes back in. And now he's literally fighting for his freedom. But let's not kid ourselves, a part of why we have all these extra movies, because they are capitalizing off of it. And for some people, the whole impactfulness of the initial story can get lost in the drawn out action sequences that they're now making it. Now it's a franchise, it's an action film. It's not just a story about a guy who's suffering from loss and wanting to fight for his freedom and for what he loves and revenge. Now it's drawing out the story simply because people like it and it makes money. So it's very easy for you to forget watching the subsequent movies, the whole reason why he did this in the first place. You're like, oh yeah, we're here because this is how it started. So I can understand where Little Platoon is coming from.
And that is fair. And that's also where I'll give Part 4 credit too, because it brings a lot back. It brings a lot back to the first one. It tries to reconnect. It has to. Yeah, it must. But it tries to please both worlds, where it's connecting back to like why we got here in the first place, and also still please the super weird, extraordinary version of John Wick that it was already goofy and absurd, but now it's like super absurd. And it tries to please both worlds. I think it does it really well, because there's still an emotional connection with John, and it's still about his wife and what he's lost, and themes and everything like that in a series like this are not necessary. They're just gravy on top. So it just adds to its specialness too. Like themes of friendship and themes of like, can we escape our past and things like that. Like they're just extra goodies in a series that like I legitimately just want to see a absurd revenge tale and unbelievable action scenes.
Well, the film answers that question. You can escape your past if you kill enough people.
Yeah, so, if you kill the whole world, no one knows.
Shoot everyone who remembers you, and you've escaped your past. Congratulations.
Move to another country. Well, didn't he go to another country?
He goes to a lot of other countries.
And they still follow him. Like, there's a bounty on his head from everywhere, all over the universe. Next, John Wick is going to be about freaking Thanos trying to erase him or something.
And John Wick versus Thanos. Thanos is fucked. I don't know.
The whole universe is after him.
Honestly. No,
do you not get the sense that there's a little bit of sort of the Fast and Furiousification of the franchise going on, though? It begins in a much more grounded way.
Yeah.
No, I've heard that comparison, and that's very fair. But all the same, they don't do anything special as far as like upping the ante with the action genre. They're just trying to up the ante for Fast and Furious, where legitimately the fight scenes in John Wick put a lot of other action movies to absolute shame. I really do not think there's any coincidence why this series is elevated by and why it's become so popular, because it is special. What they present, the manner in which they do the choreography. We were talking about the same people who did the choreography for the fucking Matrix, which everyone agrees is one of the most stand-up, greatest action films of all time. And
Keanu's a big draw too.
What's that?
Keanu's a big draw because of the Matrix.
Yeah. And combine that with when he was in the movie Speed, and what was the one that he was in with the dude who was from Ghost, Patrick Swayze? Do you guys remember?
No.
Oh, shit. Well, been in like some major action movies since the 80s, and now he's 58 years old, and he's been in 4 absolute bangers in a row, and it's like his own character now. I argue that he's one of the greatest action stars ever. If
Keanu was from the 80s, was in action movies in the 80s.
Yeah, because
wasn't he in a movie called Ted and Rick or something with time travel?
Bill and Ted?
Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted, yeah.
Mr. Brown got me. It's Point Break. And that was with Patrick Swayze, and it's an action movie. It was really one of his first ones. He plays Johnny Utah. That's his character name. But
that's a disturbingly good impression.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't known me well enough yet to know that I love doing impressions.
No.
But with Keanu Reeves, it's really easy, right? Because like he has no intonation. He has no intonation. No, because I'm not American. I don't have the accent. I can't do accents. That's my problem. But he doesn't do intonation at all, so you don't really have to. It's like once you've got the tone of his voice, you just speak a line as flatly as you can, and then you've done it.
I love Keanu so much, but when he said his first line in John Wick 4, I don't know why, but like whenever I see a new Keanu Reeves movie, I'm still somehow shocked when he utters his first line, and I'm like, ugh, that was very cringe. But I still adore the guy.
Actually, because the character he plays in Cyberpunk sounds the same as John Wick, looks kind of like John Wick, still has the same hair. They could be the same character, because Keanu Reeves isn't really a character actor at all.
Yeah, he's literally for action.
Yeah. I think he's sort of aged into it, though, because when he's younger, and younger people are expected to be a little bit more sort of, I don't know, effervescent and bubbly and dynamic. And so that's when his inability to act kind of really hammers home, because it's so obvious that he's trying and not achieving.
Yeah.
But now he's older and he's gruffer, and he's playing parts that are designed to be stoic and understated. He actually works much better now in those roles. It's not so obvious that he's just doing his usual thing, because it kind of fits.
And they wrote this for him. So, they're playing into his strengths, which is like, don't talk too much. But definitely go to the range and like perfect, how you're fucking cocking the gun and everything. And he is fucking incredible at that stuff, though. Like he really is. He emphasizes his strengths and minimizes his weaknesses, or at least hides them well enough behind a super stoic character that's a man with an economy of words. And if you've ever seen any of him like on the range and like the behind the scenes stuff of him practicing, a lot of people in the military, firearms experts, are blown away by what he does, because it looks like he's been doing it for years. He looks like a professional when he does it. A lot of people I've watched it where they're like, I love watching it just because he's so fucking good and it looks like the real deal to me. People that aren't even like movie enthusiasts. Like I know people who watch that shit when they're working out, because it just gets you so hyped up.
It sent me to sleep. But yes, I have the weird reactions. There's a lot to be said for, I think, maybe his pull, though, as well, because he's so rare in being in Hollywood and having been in Hollywood for such a long time, and yet he's not a complete shit. And he's actually quite a nice person by all accounts as well.
Very humble, very sweet. And also, it's funny because I don't know if people know the whole backstory for Keanu Reeves. Like, he has a really sad backstory, and it kind of is in line with this movie. Funny enough, all the loss that he suffered, you understand kind of why he is the way he is, and it's like the last person on earth you'd expect all that stuff to happen to, and it kind of gets translated through the movie. So it's almost like his actual story being told and him fighting for that. So I don't know if that was a coincidence or...
That is a really good point, because his tragic history is like the sad Keanu memes that ran around the 2010s. It's like John Wick at the beginning of that movie is just sad Keanu.
Mm-hmm. But it's interesting because, like, I think also the next... I mean, I'm kind of going off a little bit, but one of the other things I think would be awesome in the future is if we get more shows and series about action films. One of the ones I love is Barry, and I think it also does. Barry. Yeah, Barry. That I never thought they'd be able to do that well with a show, and it kind of reminded me of John Wick, but on another whole level, because he's the last person you would expect to be taken seriously until you actually see him being serious, and then you're like,
Right.
oh my god. So I can see, you know, where Little Platoon's coming from with having a good story there, because Barry also has a really good story mixed in with the action. But on the other flip side, I can also see for movies why just having action, having minimal story also works if the action is done well. If the action is stupid and you can see the choreography is not done well, it's like, it's not believable.
Which
So
I would say that's what Taken is. It's like the up close, just kind of bullshitty action that you see in everything, like the quick movements,
yeah.
the shaky cam. Whereas
Mhm.
John Wick is, it's all about what they're doing. So like I kind of relate it to the Batman versus Dark Knight action scenes. Matt
Mhm.
Reeves, as a filmmaker, likes the steady shot. He'll kind of follow and move around, but it's all choreographed and he's just capturing it. Whereas
Mm.
like Christopher Nolan, he's quick cuts and shaky cams, so you can't
Yeah.
even tell what the fuck's going on. So why'd you even bother choreographing anything?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. So there's, you know, there is Taken, which yes, conceptually is very similar, but all the same, it is the action that sets it apart. Like if you talk to people or just watch interviews of people who do stunt coordination or people that are making action movies, John Wick is something that's always brought up because it just does it better than anybody.
I mean, the Taken comparison only works. The only comparator for Taken is the first John Wick. Obviously, once you go to 2, 3, and 4, once it starts building out the weird structures of the world on top of it, it becomes a different proposition. But the beginning, certainly, yeah, the first film compared to Taken, I wouldn't want to understate Taken's impact. I mean, I never particularly liked Taken either, but that was huge for a time, and it was very popular, and it also spawned, you know, the equivalent of memes back in the 2010s when everything was cringe. And it was, you know, it was okay. It's a good-ish, solid action film, but it was very popular, I think, in large part because besides being a memeable entity with a particular set of skills, it was also a solid action film in a dearth of solid action films, and it was also a solid action film that very particularly appealed to a large and growing demographic which is underrepresented in cinema, which is men over the age of 45 or 50 who are probably single dads and who are being kind of denied the chance to show what they can do in the world. And then here's a guy who basically represents them. He's the same age demo, he's got the same marital strife, he wants to protect his daughter and his family, and the world doesn't like him very much. And then he proves that he has a place in the world by saving the daughter. And, you know, the world is still a dangerous place. There is still a need for masculinity. And I think, in a way, John Wick does something kind of similar. It's the same demo as Keanu Reeves. It's just that Taken has a stronger pull, because losing your daughter, who is alive, is a stronger pull than having your dog killed.
Yes,
and your
but
car,
it was
and your
taking
car
itself
stolen, which
seriously.
is also very, very important. His car was stolen, and
That's
that's
the catalyst for the beginning of part 2. But all the same, like Taken was supposed to be taking itself seriously, where John Wick was like, yes, it got more absurd as the series went on, but it was absurd to begin with. It was supposed to be, and like I remember Taken was super popular, but then the sequels came out and they just degraded in quality. Whereas I don't think any fan of the genre, especially any fan of John Wick, would say that they've diminished that much in quality, especially with how good the fourth one is. I hate to give any credence to Rotten Tomatoes, but with the exact same score from audiences and critics, it's pretty impressive. Again, I still haven't checked out the cinema score, which is something I normally prefer when I want to gauge like what the audience feels. But it seems like most people are really enjoying this one. So it's not just a one and done. It's an entire franchise that's maintained a semblance of pretty high quality as far as their standards are high.
And I'll be looking forward to the prequel that's coming out. And there's at least, I think there's 2 spin-offs planned, aren't there? So you've got the one with Anna de Anus, or whatever her name is.
Wait, a prequel?
I don't know if it's a prequel.
Is that
Wait,
not?
for John Wick?
I've heard 2 things, that they are doing a spin-off. One's a spin-off series, and it's with it was recast with you guys make me want to say Anna de Anus every time. Anna de Armas is a recast of a character that was in part 3. And it is supposed to be a spin-off TV show, and she's like way more attractive, so that's totally fine. That works. But I also heard from part 4, the person who plays the semi-antagonist Kane is supposed to get his own show as well, potentially.
Oh, Daryl's in there. Are you wait? What are you guys talking about? Spin-off of John Wick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Is it called
Ballerina.
Ballerina?
That's the one.
Yes,
Oh
that's
no,
the
but
one.
Lance Reddick passed away. Like, or what are they gonna do about that? Like,
Oh, with with the character?
yeah, they were showing the cast of characters that's supposed to be in there.
Oh, maybe
Lance
that is a
Reddick, Keanu
prequel then.
Reeves. Yeah.
Maybe that's the prequel series then.
Oh, Chloe Grace is in there as well. Interesting. Why are they doing a prequel? Like what?
Because why not? Is there?
It's a cash cow at this point.
It's a cash cow. Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you made the big blockbuster for 90 mil, how much are you really gonna have to spend on the on the prequel series? Not nearly as much, probably.
Tax write-offs.
When they first, released Jaws, I don't think they ever anticipated that they'd somehow sink to the depths of the Revenge of Jaws.
Oh my god!
With Michael Caine and his aircraft, but that's because it was relatively cheap to make and it was incredibly popular. So of course they made 4 of them, and we all wish that they hadn't.
Yep, the second Jaws movie was where I was like, this concept's dead. Probably I'll leave that alone.
I have to watch the Jaws movies. I haven't watched them yet.
But you've never watched even the first one?
I've seen clips. I've never watched it straight through. I know. Jurassic
you're like
I know.
You're never welcome back.
I know. Everyone says the same thing. I'm like, have to watch it. Like 9 years later, I have to watch it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, but you should watch the first Jaws tonight.
It's one of those classics that actually
Orca.
deserves the label.
Orca is basically Jaws, and that's a revenge story. That was an amazing revenge story. I found that by accident. It was about killer whales. I love killer whales, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't watched it, but it's really good.
You can spoil away for me.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, a killer whale. That people like in the past hunted killer whales, and this mother killer whale got caught. The father killer whale. We didn't know she was pregnant. Then she's screaming. She has her baby on the ship while she's hanging upside down. The father is it's really freaking dark. The baby just drops on the boat and dies. And then the father just follows those people. And he's like, I'm going to kill every freaking human that was on this boat that killed my wife and kid. It was unreal. It's like the only movie I've seen with an orca whale, a killer whale, eating people and killing them. And, that was a good revenge story. Burned in my mind.
The only one I've seen is like a documentary where they really did that.
I mean, Talcum, whatever his name was.
It like the
Blackfish?
Yeah.
You just watched North Korea documentaries. At what point in your North Korea documentary does a killer whale show up and eat people?
I watch documentaries all the time, man. I'd say I watch now that I like review movies for a living. I watch more movies now than I ever have before.
Yeah,
I'm like a documentary fiend. I'm just on YouTube all the time, just watching docs.
I actually might pitch that idea to whoever does Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus and Sharknado is like North Korea versus the whales. That could be fun. Or Kim Jong-un rides a killer whale.
Versus whales.
North Korea Wales versus Kim. That works. Yeah. But back to John Wick. I mean, I'm with you, Alteori, in that I think it would be good to see it spawn a few more, not necessarily sequels and prequels, but if it leads to a stronger revival in action films. I mean, I'm not a huge action film fan, but it does seem to me this is partly popular because there haven't been very many of them, and that's one of the reasons for its success. And if if they can prove now they can do this kind of film of this kind of quality in terms of action movies on this budget for this amount of money, then you might see more studios looking at it and saying, well, what kind of action films can we do? And reviving the action film is quite an important thing to do, I think. I mean, it's been a staple part of cinema for as long as cinema's really been a thing in its various different guises. And it would be nice to see that come back, not least because at the very least there's more variety in shit films once you bring action back. At the moment,
have you seen the trailer for Sisu?
I have not, no.
I have not either.
Oh yeah, someone showed me that. It was my husband that showed it to me, and I shared it. I'm like, guys, this looks badass. Everyone is excited about it. I think that's an action film, and it looks amazing, judging from the trailer. I don't know because
how do you spell that? Sisu?
SSISU 2023.
Oh, easy enough. Oh yeah. Here we go. Oh, I did see this. This was before John Wick started. I was fucking amped for this. This looks like John Wick as a Western that takes place during World War II.
Yeah.
It's literally
It's wild.
It even says like on the trailer, it says like from the people who brought you John Wick, and I'm like,
oh really? I missed
so
that.
John Wick the Western. All right,
That is
sold.
amazing.
I'll fucking be there.
Although, as we heard on
absolutely be there.
Mr. Brown's stream yesterday, we could have had John Wick, the superhero girl, because wasn't there the guy who was behind Batgirl, the cancelled one, who said that the action sequences were just like they were in John Wick, and he did John Wick 2, which is another reason to want to see that film. I really, really want to see Batgirl.
At this point, if they released it, there would be so much hype for the anticipation of it being a piece of shit. It would make all of its money back and then some.
Yeah, and I like films like that. They entertain me. They probably entertain me more than John Wick does, because John Wick's basic. It's got a basic level of competence to it. It's not ridiculous. And so, like, what am I laughing at anymore? There's nothing. It's just there. Oh no, you've got a soundboard.
Bring out the fucking soundboard, bro.
My own stream has turned against me. Oh dear. But
I got the greatest hits from my videos too. I got all the clips. So.
But there is another thing worth saying about John Wick as well, which is that it does basically hold together plot-wise. It doesn't have much of a plot to break, which helps it.
Yeah,
but what plot it does have,
for sure, man.
Yeah,
I love how you give a compliment in like an underhanded way.
It is. It's always this backhanded shit with Platoon.
Oh my god, I love it.
Oh man, we have talked about John Wick for 41 minutes of this fucking stream. So if you guys want to move on, I'm totally okay with that. But
yeah,
I think about it all weekend. So
from gratuitous violence, we could move on to more gratuitous violence. Alleged gratuitous violence.
Oh yeah, this is real life gratuitous violence, everybody.
Alleged.
I don't know if anyone saw the thumbnail, but I was really proud of that one. I was like, of course, there's a photo of him just being like, yeah. But yeah, so Jonathan Majors is apparently has been indicted by the DA. So he is not he's not getting off anytime soon, apparently.
I thought they said that. Wait, okay, never mind. Wait,
no, you go.
No, I was just no, I can't. I don't want to say anything. Okay. you go first.
Well, the first thing was as soon as he was arrested, his lawyer said that there's video proof that he's innocent and all this stuff. So, he will be, let off in short order here and everything will be cleared up. And I am a man of innocent until proven guilty. Absolutely. But I really hope that people follow through on what they, be consistent with what you usually do. Right. So if you're going to fucking cancel someone, is he canceled? Are you doing it? Are you guys doing this? And like I said, apparently he has been actually indicted, so he's not getting off anytime soon on this. What? And things are kind of falling off a cliff for him.
Well, it's a strange one because
no, you go ahead.
Okay, well, it's because his lawyer was the one who was putting it about that he was going to get off instantly, because I think the argument that was made was that it's a matter of course, it's just a normal legal proceeding, that even where, as the lawyer alleged, he was intervening to help somebody in mental distress and just happened to allegedly punch them, that you are arrested and then you're let off straight away, because that's how it works. So the lawyer was the one putting it about that he was going to be released basically instantly, because there's video footage confirming his side of the case, there's witnesses that confirm his side of the case, and the arrest was just a matter of procedure. The fact that it was only the lawyer saying that is slightly suspicious, and the fact that it doesn't seem to have panned out that way already is also a little bit suspicious. And then on top of all of that, you've got a load of people coming out of the woodwork, people he used to work with back from his days doing theatre stuff, not all of them, but quite a few coming out and saying, yeah, it's an open secret, the guy's a dick, we just didn't say anything about it until now, but now he's been arrested, we can tell you about it.
It's just so, I don't know, maybe I'm kind of jaded or something. I know people are probably going to hate me for saying this, but I just noticed, like, he's recently had, like, it's not his first time being in movies, right? He's recently had a big success. No, but he's
really gotten big in the past couple of years. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm just like, why is it that whatever, I guess more targets on your back or something, but it just feels weird, the correlation with him becoming big and then all of a sudden. I don't know. Like I said, we don't know what the real situation is. But then I look at the situation with Johnny Depp, and then you have to take everything with a grain of salt because there are people that come out and like, oh, you're a big shot now. I can get some money from settlements. Not saying that this is what happened, but I'm just noticing the correlation. And
seems
after
like a
there's been
tale
enough
as old as
proven,
America.
yeah, and I'm like, why does that? I don't know. There are legitimate dicks out there that do stuff like that are horrible people, and they use their power to abuse, those who don't have any power. But then you got the flip side where there are people who like to siphon off of people who are successful and threaten them. Like I don't know. We won't know until we get the whole story. So,
and there's a lot of things backing this up. Some filmmakers are coming out saying that he was like extremely abusive on set, and that they're happy this is happening to him. That the truth is finally getting out. It's playing out like all those other situations where.
What does that mean? Because they said that Jenna Ortega was toxic for voicing her opinion. So what does that mean when people say he was abusive on set?
I know they were very vague. Oh shit! This just in, I have an audio recording of the night Jonathan Majors was arrested. This is him with the woman.
Comes the soundboard again.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow.
So
it is one of the interviews that was done by someone who was accusing him of all of this past misdemeanors. So finally he's got big now, but this is what he deserves. So I can reveal that he's always been this way. I think was subsequently asked, "Well, can you provide proof and evidence to support your allegations against his past behavior?" And they said no, because I can't say anything more without involving people who were his victims, who deserve to be left out of the spotlight.
Then why say anything in the first place?
Well, exactly. If you can't follow through with it, don't even mention it.
We're going to ask you afterwards. So if you were really concerned about everybody else, why even bring that up?
I have evidence that this guy is a horrible sexual abuser. Okay, what's the evidence? Well, I can't tell you that without, harming his victims. That's just, it's either suspicious or it's just jumping on the bandwagon stuff. And that's not very helpful. But it will be interesting to see what happens, because obviously I think he's been dropped now from his US Army promotion things that he's got going.
I just typed in your chat as you. That was weird.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I've been appropriated. But yeah, so you've got his job has been lost with the army, promoting the army. They've decided that they're not trying to ensnare weird sort of SJW wokists anymore with animated videos about young girls who grew up in California and went to art school and then became Marines and killed people. Now they're trying to do the old-fashioned, this is a famous big actor and he's going to tell you young men that you should join the armed forces because we can't recruit anyone anymore. He's lost that job. He's still, obviously, the biggest one is that he's got this huge, pivotal, recurring role in the MCU, which is going to be very, very awkward because if he was a small-time actor or he had a bit-part role, they probably would have dropped him already because the reputational risk involved is what usually compels people to jump before the gun's gone off, so to speak. But he's Kang. He's not just a side character. He's supposed to be the thing around which the entirety of the MCU is going to focus for the next 2 phases. So what do? You can't fire him now, but what happens if it does turn out that he did this stuff and it's not just someone, crying wolf or an unprovable allegation, that he actually is what has been alleged? What do they do then? Do they recast Kang? There are infinite Kangs to recast. It could be quite expensive.
They'll probably have to hide him for a while.
But what, like, I don't understand. Like, on some hand, maybe it's just the culture here or something. But before all the social media stuff, when somebody was dealing with something outside of their work environment, that was their personal life. They still came to work. They still, as long as they were respectful to their coworkers, they dealt with work. Now it's like if you have something that's completely unrelated to your job, because people now know about it, you're not allowed to make any money. I mean, I understand if it's like a freaking, pedo or something. That's different. But in cases like with the Johnny Depp situation, because the latest one that we have where that just blew up, his whole career was upended just based on a rumor because of this girl trying to ruin him. And all that time he lost, he can't get back. All that money he lost, he might get some of it back. He might not. And I just don't understand why someone has to be completely canned or the career canceled based on something that people don't even have the truth about yet. It's just I'm legitimately asking because I don't understand it.
Oh, I don't understand it either. And I was saying this last night. No matter what, once you're accused, you're fucked. It's going to stick with you forever. Even if you're, even if he's found like not guilty, if it goes to trial or anything like a civil trial, it's not going to matter because that's always going to be in his Wikipedia now. Allegations.
It is.
And when people
it creates
hear
a perverse incentive structure as well, which is that if people who are, maybe minded to make these accusations vexatiously because they want money or because they want to destroy someone's career and reputation, they know that they can actually do this without having to face the consequences because they can make false accusations. The presumption of guilt is effectively how the industry operates, if the law doesn't quite yet. So what's the disincentive to people making these kinds of allegations? If in the hypothetical scenario in which this accusation is spurious and false, there's no disincentive to making that kind of thing. That's, as you mentioned with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. There's plenty more cases as well, and then you get the other ones where they'll stick with the story up until the point at which they are offered lots of money to settle, and then they'll recant and retract. There's the head of a video game studio recently had the same thing happen. Who was kicked off of his roles with, I think, Dying Light and something else, and the three accusers who explicitly, according to all the press reports anyway, said that he was a sexual abuser, then said, we now have changed our minds. We don't say that anymore. Also, we never said it, even though we quite clearly did. The fact that we said it was just willfully misinterpreted by the press, and we never actually wanted to imply that he was a sexual abuser, even though those were the words that we used. So that's another one. We're talking like yesterday. There's this a footballer in this country, and real football, not American football, who was accused by his girlfriend.
Not as talented one. Yeah, that one.
Oh, they're much more talented. The one where they don't need oxygen breaks every 5 minutes and to wear armor to go into minor challenges. But he's Mason Greenwood, who plays for Manchester United, and his then girlfriend accused him of being a sexual abuser and posted videos supposedly attesting to this fact, and it seems plausible given all the video evidence. But then she, quite recently, it would seem she dropped out of the case because the police said that it can't continue with the prosecution because of the withdrawal of certain key witnesses. And I think they've been seen back together again, which, there is a legitimate problem there, which is that quite often abuse victims will get back with their abuser.
Yeah.
But you're never going to stop that kind of thing if that's the pattern that you're willing to establish. If you're willing to get paid off to drop a sexual abuse case, or if you're willing to drop it to get back with someone, then you're actually not going to help anyone. You're not helping yourself, but you're also not helping the general meta, which is actually that invites more lies and vexatious claims, which detracts from your real experience if that's what you've had. So nothing is coming good from any of this, and it's not going to stop because it's becoming more and more easy to make these charges and then to suffer no consequences, and in many cases to be paid off for it.
And then anybody can, because if you look back in anybody's personal life, everybody's had domestic disputes. Everyone has had arguments. People can just come out and say, this person hit me, and I've seen it. I've had a friend who watched it happen. And the police are like, we believe you, obviously, but that's not the
obviously.
Yeah. It's very clear. Even the cops are even saying, yes, we can see this, but it's her word against yours. Even the police officers know. It's kind of sad, like that kind of thing should have a more stringent punishment, not just for the people who commit those things, but for the people who just come up with these false accusations if they're proven false. I mean, then there's another thing. If there's not evidence, if you legitimately were hurt in some way and you just don't have the evidence, and then now you're scared of getting punished to come out, I don't know. It's a really difficult situation.
It's very rare that someone's it's very rare that someone's actually punished for false accusations.
Yeah.
So you need like undeniable proof that you were lying, or otherwise just
exactly.
let it go.
It's easier for them to make the false accusation.
Do I have to say this out loud? Ian, Mega Geek, Rebecca Gold, I sent you a link on your Twitter. You're in the chat asking for it. I said it in the chat. I sent you a link, and I sent it to our group chat. There are just come on, get on it.
So we can return to John Wick in a moment. But in terms of solving this problem, it's hard. I mean, if I was spitballing solutions, is there a way you can say this is probably completely unworkable, but the disincentive to make false accusations you could achieve if you make it much harder for companies to preemptively sack people based on unproven allegations. That the arguments against that are that prioritizes people with institutional power and reach, and actually that will drop the number of successful convictions in legitimate rape cases, which are already tiny anyway. But on the other hand, it's a way of ensuring that the only cases that do go to court are solid cases that should be in court, and that do actually go through, and that people are compelled to follow through with, and that might, in the longer run, achieve some sort of institutional change in the way that the current system just doesn't.
Everyone, I'm going to bring on Mr. Ian David Diaz, the Mega Geek.
Hello.
Good evening.
All right, guys. Do you know what? I was listening to this when I was on the train coming home.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, I wonder what they're going to think. I wonder what Platoon's going to think of John Wick 2.
Did it surprise you?
Actually, it did. Did
you think he was going to like it?
I thought he was going to like it.
Honestly, I feel like I was a little surprised, but all the same, like I remember you said before, right before you left, that you were going to watch it, that you're not really into the action genre, Platoon. So I was like,
no, and I didn't hate the film. It's worth saying as well. I didn't hate it. I'm perplexed by how popular it is. But I mean, you've just come back from watching it, haven't you?
Yeah, I saw it on the
number 2.
Biggest screen in England. It was like a huge IMAX screen. And it just looked gorgeous. The photography is absolutely gorgeous. I thought this film was great second time around. It was a lot of fun second time around. It was a packed audience this time around, because when I first went to see it, it was only 3 people in the cinema.
On a Monday?
I went to see it I went to see it last week Friday. Week Friday.
Yeah, I did too.
Actually, yeah, Friday. Yeah. So and it was, I went on the second showing, so it was like people were at work, weren't they? So it was only 3 of us in the cinema, and then I saw it just a couple of hours ago, and the cinema was packed, and they laughed at every joke. They laughed at a bit where he fell down the stairs and kept falling.
That was so damn
people
funny.
Were just killing themselves laughing. They did. A lot of people gasped when he got shot.
I should probably say minimal spoilers from this point on, if you don't mind, just because not everyone's seen it.
Guys, I'm really sorry in the chat. If you do want to watch this movie, I brought on the guy who just cannot fucking hold in spoilers. The one guy.
But
here, I'll help you out, guys.
Shut the fuck up!
Oh, he's got a soundboard. Oh dear.
Yeah, I know. It's just, the soundboard's been used against me already, and it's on my channel. It's like being locked in a room with my abuser.
Well, next week we'll put it on my channel, and you can control the soundboard if you want.
No, I can't control it, because if I press buttons, I start like wearing monocles and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like sunglasses.
Can I just go back to what you were saying about Taken, right?
Yeah.
So you were saying about the fights, okay? So if you look at the Bourne films carefully, that's chopped up to a worse degree, but you still understand what's going on in the fight when you watch the Bourne fight. But in Taken, it was chopped up, but it was less so, because if you see that fight at the end in the boat when what's his name, Liam Neeson fights that guy, you can see everything that's going on. It was very well choreographed, and it wasn't chopped up so much. It's just when they got to the second and the third one, they chopped it up, because obviously he's getting a lot older.
Yeah, and it's like the ultimate, the Bourne style. Like everyone's imitating that for a while.
But then you got the middle. Like, for instance, have you ever seen the Equalizer movies? So when
a while ago, yeah.
So when he fights, it's very much like Bourne, but it's very measured. So when they cut it, you can see exactly what's going on. So they have a shot where somebody's thrusting a knife towards him, and they actually follow the guy's hand, and then he does a move, and then and then he pushes something in their throat and stuff like that. So it's all very measured. It's like a halfway between the extreme Bourne one, and a choreographed fight, because obviously he's quite old, isn't he, old Denzel? So he can't move as fast as much. So, but they cut it very cleverly. But no way was Taken's fight like Bourne. If you watch it very carefully, the first one, I'm only talking about the first one. The second one was absolute nonsense. But as I said, I read that they were using the big cameras, the widest lens they can find, because they wanted you to see all that fight in one shot. So
for Wick 4.
Yeah, for Wick 4.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. Well, I don't know. I really don't know.
Mega's on a John Wick kick too. We've already like drowned the audience with 45 minutes of John
Oh,
Wick.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Do you have anything you want to say about Jonathan Major's situation?
The who? What?
All right, then, moving on. Right on. Perfect.
It's the Kang actor and his abuse allegations.
We talked about that yesterday, didn't we?
We did, yeah. It's almost like we're stealing from Mr. Brown's stream.
Yes. This is why we moved it to Monday, Brown.
Well, before we move on to the next one, there, I mean, Ian, do you want to tell the audience, like, if people who don't know who you are, because you're a director and you've got your own series on the run, haven't you? Which is kind of actiony as well. So, what do you look for when you're watching something like John Wick? Obviously, the budget is astronomical, but is it changing the way that you look at scenes and the way you construct scenes and fight scenes and the things like that? Are you learning from this?
Yeah, I learn from every movie I watch, right? Because like when I go to see a movie, half my brain is the filmmaker brain, and the other half is the fanboy. Because I love watching movies. I mean, there's nothing better than watching movies, in my opinion. And I can see more than others, and I can see deeper when I watch movies. But
he's special.
What's that? Sorry. But all I can say is that it is very difficult when you have no money to do something like John Wick. You know, just to. I'm doing a fight sequence where we haven't even had any rehearsals. We have to do it on the day, and I'm editing it, and it's not even less than a minute. So I've got to go back and shoot some more. Do you know what I mean? So it's a different situation. You know, where we're dealing with really tiny budget, and they're dealing with and you can bet your bottom dollar that they rehearsed for a whole year doing that stuff.
Oh, I'm sure.
Even more so, you know.
Yeah.
But it is difficult to make movies these days, especially when you're in a low budget. But I just try. But I've got a film on Netflix called Bad Day, and that had fight sequences in it. And in fact, that was made over 10 years ago. And I have 2 female leads and a black guy as a lead. So I was well.
It's a Bad Day from 2010?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. It's on Netflix in the UK, but it's on Tubi in America, I think. So
Tubi.
Oh yeah, I see it too. It's on Tubi.
Yeah. So that was a really low, but that would cost $8,000 to make.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah, $8,000.
Wow.
And shot in 2 weeks.
So, wow.
So,
That's
yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
That is awesome, Ian. I didn't know it was that cheap. That is so cool.
Well, The Killing Zone, the film I want you to watch, that was shot that was shot on film. So that was before the advent of the internet and everything. And we shot that on 16 mil.
So what did you? The other ones were digital then? Digital shot?
Bad Day, we was given a camera from Panasonic and only had one lens on it. And they said, shoot whatever you want to shoot. So we shot that in 2 weeks. And Killing Zone was my very first movie. That was shot in Super 16, and that was shot in 2 weeks at $14,000. So I'm kind of an expert at shooting things with hardly any money. Put it that way.
Not John Wick style, but John Carpenter style, I would say. Then.
Yeah. I do learn a lot from other movies and stuff like that. Like I know what a oneer is now, you know, I know what a long take is, you know what I mean? I know about lenses and all that crap. So
yeah, so you're like a Tarantino-esque then, because he never went to school for anything, but he's like he's one of the greatest directors ever, and it's just all learned from his love of film.
Yeah, I'm not as clever as him though. He has his foot
with dialogue too.
Yeah, he has his foot squarely in the artistic side, you know, the side that critics love.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I wrote a film with like 5 pages of a dialogue in one scene, people just go, "There's too much dialogue." But if Tarantino wrote it, they'll say, "Oh, that's brilliant."
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
It's awesome. But there you go. I didn't realize this was Platoon's channel.
I decided not to do a dual broadcast this time. I think what we want to do is like just bounce it back and forth between channels. So Platoon this time, probably next week we'll do it on our channel.
We've been talking about doing it since August, and now we're discussing still what we're actually doing with it
while we're
live on the stream. It's this kind of pre-prepared quality that you just don't get from the drinker. So
Oh fuck.
I was going to say, are you going to have your avatar do anything else apart from what you showed us?
That's not enough for you, sir.
I'm struggling. I'm struggling to remember the buttons as it is. So once I've mastered the surprise thing, then then I'll add some expressions to it.
Alteori, if you end up streaming more, should hook you up with Platoon's person so you can get an animated animal going.
Oh yeah, people were asking about that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
It would be cool.
I got to skip that and just buy a camera instead.
How come Brown hasn't been on your channel then?
Because
he's a coward.
Pussy's out. Yeah, there you go. He's a coward or he pussy's out. However you want to say
Mr.
it.
Brown person. I feel like I'm the only person who doesn't know who he is.
Mr. Brown is a very good man. We're on his show every Sunday usually.
Yeah,
I have his
usually.
live show every Sunday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Indeed. Just before we move on very quickly, I just want to say thank you to JMac, who I think has been gifting people memberships in the chat and has done quite a lot of them. So thank you very much for doing that, JMac. That's very kind of you.
I'm gonna
Didn't you do that last week too?
I think you did.
Yeah, what a man, what a man. That's awesome.
Mighty good man.
Isn't that a song?
Oh, here we go. It is. Mr. Brown Alliance, too busy modding, you fuckers.
Our chat's easy to mod. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you're just hanging out.
Anyway,
so what are you guys talking about? Go on.
So we just moved on. We were doing this Jonathan Majors. So he's the Kang actor. We chatted about it on Browns yesterday, and the accusations that have been made against him, and whether he will ever make it out of prison, which we assume he probably will at some stage. But it's and what you do when you have an actor in such a significant role as he is in, say, the MCU. What's the proper response of the studio to that? I mean, he's got serious allegations made against him, but they are as yet unproven. Is it preemptive for the studio to look to recast him? Should they even consider that, or should they wait until the thing sort of, finds its way to
Look
the
at what they did with Ezra Miller.
Yeah.
Everything that they had, it's proven that he's done these things, and
On
it's
video.
just he helped you guys. I mean, it's not just one allegation. It's not just allegations. It's proven stuff that has happened on video.
And they're doing with him, like they're hiding him though. And like they moved the release date back of the movie to let people kind of forget about it.
To tell him, no, we're gonna just we're gonna cancel this, we're gonna do this. Nope, it's still.
Well, they took the old 1990s route and they just sent him to rehab for about a month. And then he came out, and we're all expected to move on and forget. Like they used to do that with celebrities. South Park did a whole episode on like sex pest celebrities, and the way that they always just go to quote unquote rehab, and then they come out and they're back in their jobs and they're doing everything again. But yeah, if there's ever been a case for recasting someone because of proven bad actions, Ezra Miller is that guy.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like keep the same energy for everybody. If you're gonna cancel everybody, cancel it. If you're not, then not. Just do for one person what makes this specific person okay to do this with, and this not for the other people.
I'm probably at more risk of cancellation because I just misgendered them. So
Alteori
they could actually just kick me
off.
off.
I keep forgetting.
Yep.
I keep forgetting because how I was introduced to Ezra Miller was that I keep forgetting he came out. So
apparently.
But what's he going to say when they in the film when they say they refer to him as him in the film? What
that's what's confusing.
What are they going to say? What's he going to say to them? Do you know what I mean?
Well, he's acting. He's playing a part, so it's not like. I mean, they play.
Hollywood
Ezra is playing a part, so it's not like Ezra can be like, "Oh, they're misgendering me because Flash is not Ezra. Flash is Flash." So that whole thing of, "Oh, well, you have to be yourself." As the actor, no, you're acting. You're pretending to be someone else. So,
anonymous no name in the chat says Ezra Miller's a man. Fight me. Well, he probably would. So be careful what you wish for.
That's true.
Part of the reason he got in trouble.
He will fucking come at you like a bat.
Very pugnacious.
And he's really quick as well. So you got to watch out for that.
Scrappy.
Well, he's fast because he's the Flash, right?
He is, yeah. That's how he
he'll
escapes
attack you
capture
in
for such a long
Vermont.
time.
He'll attack you in Hawaii. It doesn't matter where he is. He will fucking get you.
But you know what, right? Before all this stuff happened in Hollywood was poison anyway. I remember this was 10 years ago. My friend told me that a big star at that time in the 80s. He was sharing a cab with him, and this big is a guy, but I won't mention the name, obviously. He basically propositioned him in a cab. I'm serious. He propositioned him in a cab. He basically tried to touch him and stuff like that. And this is like a famous star of the 80s, like a TV star of the 80s. He was in a famous TV show. And that's what I'm saying. It's like when people talk about Hollywood now, it's like they've just discovered it. But it's been going on for ages.
Right. It's because of social media that you're just now seeing the depravity of this fucking culture.
Yeah.
Like it's some sort of shock. Like you can't go back and read articles and shit and like catch little hints and be like, huh, yeah, that's probably exactly what's been going on for a long time, if not worse.
Believe you me, the stories that I heard when I was over there, it's worse. It really is. Some of the stuff that they've done to women, especially, it's just disgusting. But obviously, I'm not going to mention any names here. But yeah, I mean, thank God I didn't make it over
lawyers
there.
in the chat are just waiting to jump and sue you.
Seriously. So everybody, you're right, it's because of social media. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, it's depraved now, blah, blah, blah. It was always like that. The amount of drugs that was floating around in the 70s and the 80s, it was ridiculous. You can build a mountain with the amount of cocaine that they were using.
A legit mountain of cocaine.
Yeah,
the Everest of cocaine.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous.
Man, Johnny Depp would go through that in a weekend.
Yes, you would.
Yeah, he would, wouldn't he?
I just want to
understand
point
why
out
people are attracted to that stuff. I really don't. I don't know.
The cocaine stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I've been to parties where I've been drunk, stupid, almost fallen over, and I've always had my friends go in, do you want some? And I've always said no. Even when I'm fall down drunk, I always refuse it. But as I said, I don't understand. I've never had it, so maybe I don't understand. So I don't know.
I mean, I don't understand people getting drunk and calling that fun. I mean, maybe it's just me, but like, oh, let's have fun. Let's get wasted and not remember anything. Like, how is that fun if you can't remember it? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. Weird.
Well, I mean, to each his own.
Yeah.
But the other question is, like, why is it that Hollywood attracts people? It's not necessarily a specific Jonathan Majors point, because obviously that's still an allegation, but Hollywood does provably attract a certain type of person, the person who's most likely to be quite abusive, pathologically narcissistic, and
those
quite
are the type
often
of people that make good actors.
True, yeah. Good actors and good politicians, and they're often the same thing. And then, of course, because, of course, you've got the whole institution. Well, prior to social media, you had the whole institutional want to cover all of this stuff up as well, which means that for as many, abusers that they cover up for, there are people in the industry today who probably have been abused as well, who those stories have just never come out because they existed before the age of social media. And then, since Jeffrey Epstein goes, and all the people who will happily stand up on stage with him and joke with him and be his friend are now the ones coming out and saying, yes, it's terrible, isn't it, what Hollywood does to our young stars? But but maybe then you shouldn't have shacked up next to Jeffrey Epstein, should you?
Or
Meryl
taking a trip on his plane. You know what I mean? So
The guy with the island?
Yeah, that guy.
Well, is it possible that some of them didn't know? Because, like, some of the people, they're like, oh, this person went to the island. Like, is it...
Oh,
I don't know what was going on the island, but apparently it's people getting abused or something. And if that's the case, like, was the island, like, a theme park or something? Like,
no. It was just, like, this incredible... he was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And so it was just, like, this...
But what was on it? Like, what...
underage girls.
Oh,
a lot of them, apparently.
Wait, that's what the island was advertising?
It was not.
It wasn't advertising it. No,
advertising probably not. Unless you had the special phone. Well, the whole Epstein thing is that essentially he made his name being very well connected to people in Hollywood and in politics, and by well connected I mean also he could sell sex services of girls who he procured, and I think probably boys as well, who were not necessarily of a legal age. He had a famous island to which he invited an awful lot of people, and an aeroplane which at various points was known as the fucking hell, the Lolita Express. And Lolita is the Vladimir Nabokov novel, which is famous for having a sex scene with an underage girl. So a Lolita Express is only really there for one reason. But he knew and knows everyone. Knew he's dead now, but he knew everyone in Hollywood. Including, and it was sort of an open secret, I think. So it's hard to say how many people simply didn't know, because we have the same thing in the UK. Jimmy Savile, famous charity campaigner, TV personality, and it turns out massive child molester as well, and dead corpse molester, lovely guy. Naturally, he was employed by the BBC. But the number of people who came out afterwards and said, well, we just didn't know. And then the number of other people who came out afterwards and said, well, we secretly knew, but that was just the culture of the times and we couldn't say anything. The same thing happens with Jeffrey Epstein and the culture of abuse in Hollywood, that you can't really believe anyone when they say they didn't know, but you also can't say for sure that they did, because...
He was worried about me saying cunt.
Oh, don't do that. Oh, now we will be demonetized. God damn it.
Oh dear.
Oops. But like, no, like if someone had an island, let's say, because that's why I'm asking, because I'm just trying to put myself in somebody's footsteps, whatever.
Just for reputational reasons, I wouldn't put myself in the boots of anyone anywhere near Jeffrey Epstein's island.
What if the island what if he's saying "Welcome to Jurassic Park" and he's advertising it that way, and I'm like, oh, I want to go, and it just so happens that on that island this other heinous stuff is happening, but I didn't know about it because I wanted to go to Jurassic Park.
A lot of them claimed that, didn't they? When they were brought up. So a lot of them said they didn't know what was going on. But what happened was that his girlfriend used to go to the mainland and get underage girls.
This is Ghislaine Maxwell we're talking about now.
Yeah. What?
And so,
like human trafficking?
So basically,
people.
Yeah, she used to hire these underage girls, saying that there's a job in the island, it pays a lot of money, because they were students and stuff like that. You come over, you do serve people, and you get paid. You know what I mean? And she was bringing a lot of girls across for, even Prince Andrew went there at one point, didn't he? And he was, So there you go. That was what's happening.
Yeah, I actually am really pleased that you don't know about this story. Like, just thank you for not knowing about this horrendous tale.
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I've heard about Epstein and Hillary, but I didn't really know what was going on because all I keep hearing is they must have gone to the island, and I'm like, what is this island? Where are we talking about?
It wasn't Fantasy Island, that's for sure.
It's not Lost either.
We can get right the fuck off the Jeffrey Epstein topic if you
We better do.
We're talking about Jeffrey Epstein. The number of viewers in chat is 666. It all feels quite fitting to me, but yeah, maybe we should just for monetization purposes.
Yeah. We are 100% demonetized now, bro.
Oh god, yeah.
Sorry.
Whatever. Oh, it was Platoon and I's fault. He said the magic M word, and I said the magic C word. So here we go. All right.
That's not
a
good
few
at all.
magic words left.
No. What was the next topic?
I don't know.
Oh, it was
the title, guys. What's in the title, chat?
Gay Captain America.
Oh yeah.
What?
Let me pull up the article.
What?
Hang on, let me fetch the article for everyone. This is
while you're finding it. So basically, the idea is that there is a new Captain America comic run.
Did everything just freeze, or is it just me?
I think that's just you.
Oh, okay. Fucking A. All right.
Either that, or we've just been taken off air. But yeah, so yeah, there's a new Captain America run. He's part of the whole, there's a collective of Captain Americas. And they all work together at the same time in the same period. And this one, the premise of this is Captain America of the Railroads, is his full title. And the premise of the character is that he is Captain America, one of them, and he saves gays on train tracks.
What?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What?
Here we go. All right, let me go ahead and share this, because can everyone see this?
Oh, you are kidding.
I'm not kidding. Here he is. He's got the bull ring and everything.
Wait, okay, there has to be more to the story. You can't
every
just leave it
visual
like that.
fucking stereotype of a gay person. They decided to throw it in there because that's awesome. Yep.
I mean, the slightly more to the story is that I think, from what I remember anyway, his backstory is that he ran away from home because his dad abused him for being gay. He ran away from home with his boyfriend, I think it was, and he resolved that he would spend all of his time fighting to end prejudice and discrimination against gays generally, but also just against disadvantaged, dispossessed people but for some reason limiting himself to train tracks. So like, if you're a depressed gay on a train, he's for you. But I assume if you're outside the station, he's not. I don't know exactly how this works. But he's been given a whole comics run.
It's a real Marvel comic, or
so it's of the Infinity or Marvel Unlimited Infinity Comics solo series.
What fresh hell is this then?
So what it fucking means, well, besides the fact that it's going to get canned after 2 issues, is
and then given a film. Because that's how this works.
That's how it works. Oh, it wasn't popular. Let's fucking waste $200 million on it. They're probably going to call it MAGA for Make America Gay Again. And let's see. So if it's a Marvel Unlimited Infinity comic, then that means it's just going to be online. It's just going to be on the Marvel Unlimited app. So they're probably not even actually going to print it. That's how much confidence they have in it, which makes me ask, why are you even fucking doing it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against him being a gay character, but why is that the leading thing? Like, hey, he's gay. Like, just make him a character. Like, why are they advertising it like that? With the duck lips and everything. It just seems very bizarre.
He did have duck lips.
It actually does.
Christ.
Wow.
And they know the controversy they're kicking up as well, because they're making him Captain America, so they know what the response to that will be. It will be
it's this.
Get fucked.
Yeah, basically that. But yeah, you'll get a load of people saying, "Oh my god, they've turned Captain America gay," which isn't technically what they've done, but they've given him the title to make people think that that's what they've done. And so you're just inflaming both sides of the culture war: the side that says we don't want gay people anywhere, and the side that says gay people must be everywhere. I think both of these people should get in the sea, but it won't happen. There's a legitimate reason you can make new gay characters. I've done a whole video on this ages ago before I actually knew what I was doing.
I've made a gay character.
Yeah, you have. That's the current one, isn't it?
Yeah, just Rebecca's gay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't focus on that though. So
No.
Exactly. It's supposed to be the character first. Every writer has made, like, that I know of, and me included, you write characters that just happen to be gay. That's not the focal point of what makes them a valuable human being, who they decide to sleep with. It's so annoying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand the world today. I'm just an old fogey, me.
But it's just a weird. Oh no, I'm being impersonated. In chat
I am.
again.
I saw something in chat. I had to respond to.
It's such an obviously forced contrivance as well. Okay, let's say you wanted to make a character who is gay, who takes a special interest in the plight of gay people in America, and other disadvantaged people. There's stuff you can do with that. You could turn that into the basis of a character if you wanted to, because it's a real issue in some states more than others, some countries more than others. It is a genuine issue of being disowned and driven out of home, and you do find yourself homeless, and you do find yourself maybe wandering train tracks, and that's the reason for the premise. So you can do that. You can make a character designed on a very small local scale who just goes around trying to help people, a bit like him, who face society's disapprobation. But the turning him into a Captain America is a bit silly. I think the premise itself is a bit too ridiculously constrained anyway. I mean, he's Captain America of the railroads, as though the railroads specifically need one of those. It's just inviting ridicule, which is not doing representation any good at all.
It's not. I mean, look, the design, he's wearing green. And he's like...
Yeah, actually, I have a full image of it. Let me screen share real quick so everyone can see this incredibleness.
I mean, at least the art's better than the other. What's that one called? The Snowflake and the other one. You remember that one?
Oh, Snowflake. Snowflake and Safe Space. Yeah.
They thought that was some sort of gotcha.
Head. Looks like Ducky from Land Before Time.
That looks like a condom.
It does look like a condom, doesn't it?
At least the bros got mean quads. There you go, bro.
The stars on the shield and like obligatory tank top.
It's the rainbow color. They're trying to play it up.
Skinny jeans and Converse. Yeah.
It does. It tries to do the rainbow throughout. With this color
you can see it. The gradient.
Absolutely.
But I look at this character and I think, I do kind of understand why your dad was bullying you, and it probably hasn't got anything to do with the fact that you're. It's not just that you're gay; it's just that you are gay with a capital G.
All you are, yeah. All you
are. I am not straight, and I find those people insufferable.
Strange.
Oh my goodness.
The whole thing is strange. I don't understand where the world's going to these days. I really don't. I find this all very puzzling, how they want to make their reality a reality in the real world. It just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, that like the people who are like doing this kind of stuff, it almost low-key feels like okay, hear me out. It kind of feels as though they're homophobic because the way that they stereotype it, right? And saying, hey guys, this is what it is. That's their whole idea of what gayness or blackness or Asianness means to them. And it's very stereotypical and very superficial. But then they get mad at you if you, as someone who is a representative of those communities, says, hey, I don't like this. Well, that's because you're a homophobe. But like it just feels very odd. Because people are saying they don't want this. Like, there's some people that are for it, I understand, but there are people who are members of the community that are saying, hey, we don't like this. And their own community turns on.
Yeah.
It's just so wild to me. Like, it used to be, like, before this whole thing, people just accept people for who they are. Doesn't matter what you look like or who you're attracted to. But now it's like they're overcompensating, you know, for the purpose of creating outrage so they can get ratings or get more clicks on their articles or get people concentrating on fighting each other rather than seeing the fault in what these studios are putting out.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the stereotype point in particular is a really interesting one because, you know, it's reductionism. What they're doing is they are reducing the stereotype of the person they claim they want to represent to the most offensive and cliched and kitsch examples of what that, you know, they imagine a gay person is supposed to be or a woman is supposed to be. Away from Marvel, you get, is it Dylan Mulvaney, the person that the Biden administration invites to the White House on the grounds that, you know, they're trans. And I remember being told for many, many years that there's more to being a woman than wearing pink and acting really girly and wearing lots of makeup and you know, and giggling and all the rest of that. And then that seems to be Dylan Mulvaney's whole shtick, is just doing that. And it's like, well, that's what makes him a woman. Well, that's reducing women to a stereotype. Can you maybe understand why people find that upsetting and offensive? Because we've had arguments for decades about reducing stereotypes and doing away with stereotypes because people are actually more nuanced and complex than that. But no, now it's got to the point, as you say, Alteori, where it's just a case of, well, we want to represent gay people. What's a gay person? Well, a gay person wears a tank top, really tight jeans, rainbow
There's all the
clothes,
rainbow colors.
wears all the rainbow stuff. Yeah, it's incredibly
super
camp.
bombastic.
It's just, stop it, people. It's cringe.
Like Doom Patrol did it better. Like I don't know if any of you watched Doom Patrol, but the I forgot his name, the guy who wraps himself up in the mummy bandages. He has an actual sad backstory because I think he was born of a time where that wasn't allowed. But he's just a regular person who's going through stuff. He lost his lover or something. And I like the portrayal of that because it felt more real. He felt like a person. It's not just like, hey, it's a gay character. It just felt like a person. You know, and I think that's what a lot of these people are missing. They're making people a caricature of themselves based on their color or who they're attracted to. You don't do that with straight people, so why are you doing it with gay people?
It's also interesting to think, like, in the Marvel movies and all this stuff, the best way to portray a woman now is to make her as masculine as possible and strip her of her femininity. And for when it comes to the trans movement, what it is like play the most stereotypical woman that you could possibly imagine. I find it extremely confusing and endlessly entertaining.
Yeah, it's
but also the you know the them pushing everything makes you really cringe because they're pushing everything. Right? So every advert you see, you don't see don't see white couples anymore. It's either always a black guy or a black woman with a white guy, or vice versa, and everything right across the board. But if you go back, like if you watch Red Dwarf, for instance, that had 2 black people and 2 white people, and one of them was a robot. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. When it's done properly, when it's done without any attention on it, then that's the way it should be. But now, because they're pushing it so hard, you kind of back away from it, don't you? And you cringe every time you see it now. And they're making it
dehumanizing,
Absolutely.
And it invites a backlash as well, which is and I'm pretty sure they are aware that it invites the backlash. It invites the backlash by being offensively trite. And then that's just the excuse for their friends in certain media outlets to say, look at the evil, racist, homophobic bigots who are doing the backlash against the really offensively trite, cheap, and contrived depiction of a gay person. It's most people, like, I did this video ages ago on, stop turning superheroes gay. If you're going to make a gay character, make a new character and make
Make
him
an
more than
original
just
one, yeah.
make it original and make him more than just being gay. Or tell the story allegorically. I mean, one of the best coming out stories in recent cinema, you can go back to X-Men 2 in the early 2000s, which has a coming out story which you can read both in universe as this is the problem mutants face when they're coming out to their parents, but you can also read it as it was intended, I think, to be read as an allegory for coming out as a gay person or as any identity that, you know, parents who are more conservative don't agree with. That was done quite tactfully and quite sensitively, and it fit the story it was telling. It wasn't preaching anything. It was just, this is a real human experience. This is how we turn real human experiences into fictional stories, and that's great. Yeah. It's very relatable. But the problem is that, so yeah, I did this video ages ago, like stop turning superheroes gay, and like I got a couple of
that one.
it's in the before times of 6 months ago when I started doing this stuff. But it was nice because I've got a couple of comments saying that it's good. I'm glad that I got to hear this because, you know, I look at these representation characters. And, you know, I thought this was really shit and this is what gay people were. So it's nice to hear a perspective from someone who isn't like straight about, you know, that gay people are kind of normal like us and they also quite like well-written characters like we do. And it's not homophobic to object to poorly written characters. But it's polarizing, deliberately polarizing. As soon as you stereotype people like this, either you're going to get a section of the population which says that this is in fact all of our worst fears about gayness confirmed. Or you're going to get the other side of it saying, and that makes you a racist against the gays. And it's just...
Yeah, it's not
Racist
good.
against the gays.
It's really pisses me off though when I'm watching TV and stuff like that, and then I see someone of color and I cringe, even though I don't know whether it was done right or deliberately, but that's we're the product of that now. Do you know what I mean? Every time I watch TV, I'm not even white. Do you know what I mean? I cringe when I see something that just sticks out like a sore thumb that they push in right in front of your face. It is good to have people of color on screen, behind the camera, and in front of the camera. Yes, but do it properly. Don't make
their color the only like the primary thing you focus on, because they're telling us on one hand, hey, don't focus on someone's color or their sexual orientation, but on the other hand, let's primarily focus on their color and sexual orientation. It's so stupid and hypocritical. But like, even in representations like Shameless, I like the earlier Shameless. I don't know if you guys watched.
I liked Shameless when it first came out.
Which version?
Yeah, I've not seen the American
version
one.
of the American version.
I watched the American one. I didn't even know there was a British version.
It's like The Office. We did it first.
Oh, we just did it better, right? As usual. I forgot about that.
Well, and then we copied. Yeah, well, it's the American version. I thought that was the only one, but in the American version, they had this character named Mickey and Ian, and they just happened to be gay. They were characters first, and you're like, oh, I love this character because Mickey used to beat up on Ian, but he actually liked him, and then they became like a couple.
Right,
but that wasn't like, that was so. They were like my favorite couple on there because of their dynamic.
But you can go back even further, can't you? You can go back even further with Soap. Billy Crystal was the TV show called Soap. You guys.
This might be before all of our time.
Yeah, sorry.
Before time when Mega was
so there was this TV show called Soap. It was a comedy. It was basically taking the mickey out of soap operas on TV, and one of the characters was played by Billy Crystal, and he was gay and it was a big thing. He was gay in the show. Yeah, no, in the show. I think he was one of the very first people to play a gay person on screen on a highly rated TV show. So he played a gay guy, and there was a thing about it, but not so much. Do you know what I mean? But he was very funny, and they didn't push it in your face that he was gay and stuff like that. So that's what I'm saying. You can go back even further. Look it up.
It's what happens when you have sort of legacy rights movements and rights campaigns where the job's basically been done, but they need to justify their continued existence. So back in the 70s, just portraying a gay person on screen as a normal human being was relatively rare. And that was quite shocking in its own time and in its own right. It's not shocking anymore. In most of the entertainment industry is overpopulated with the gay. I mean, all weathermen are
with the gay.
It's everywhere. It's not shocking anymore. So what do they do? Well, they have to make it more shocking and then claim that it's still the equivalent expression of a rights campaign to defend the most extreme representations or stereotypes of representation in exactly the same way as it used to be. Because we got over this in the 1970s and the 80s. We've been through the AIDS epidemic with, and that sort of unfortunate retrogression in relations between the sexualities. We got over that through the 90s, and by this point most modern media is written by gay people, and they've always been disproportionately represented anyway. I mean, you talk about the paradox in quite a homophobic British society of the 1950s and the 1960s, where one of the books that's held up as being part of the English canon is written by Oscar Wilde, and it's always been a weird sort of relationship where gay people are very creative, they create modern media, but modern media doesn't represent them. Now they're represented, we've got over that hurdle. But now it's just, we can't stop now because there are lots of campaign groups who have to justify their continuing existence. So what's the next issue? Well, Pride has gone from being, we demand the right to live in peace and just for you to leave us alone, to, okay, it's absolutely fine that fat people wearing leather piss on each other in the middle of the street in front of children. That's gay rights. That's fine. Like, you're homophobic if you're opposed to that. So
England was far more tolerable about gay people than the Americans. If you go back in the 70s, we had TV quiz shows with a gay guy presenting it.
We even hated gays better than you.
No, we didn't hate. We didn't hate them. We embraced them.
America does most things better than we do, but
I like American shows, but as I said, I think that the British, when they have a really good idea, the Americans just come and do their own version, which quite rightly so, I guess, because it's different culture, I guess. So
it made Steve Carell's career.
It did, yeah,
it definitely did.
It did. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, was it Three's Company was based on a British show as well? You guys probably don't remember Three's Company, right?
Have you got
anything about these shows?
Three's Company.
I know Three's Company. I was trying to think of why didn't I know these things were?
So that's based on Man About the House, which was a sitcom
okay, yeah,
England.
I know.
So
have you got Skins over there? I'm sure the Americans have Skins.
They have the American version of Skins, but I don't think they call it Skins.
What the fuck is that?
There's another
Alteori,
one.
do you have any clue what the fuck they're talking about? Skins UK cast.
It's about young people.
Holy teeth!
It's about young people.
Young people. You've taken quite a lot from us, actually, but I don't think you guys realize that you have. Yeah,
took the Empire.
We took your pride,
self-respect, agency in the world. Yeah, all of it's yours. But yes, no, it's the X-Men have done this as well, because didn't they turn Iceman gay at one point?
And what? I don't see that as canon personally. I mean, I think that's all done for the wrong reasons. Do you know what I mean? All of it.
It usually is.
Yeah, I just don't understand. I mean, what's that thing somebody said yesterday when we were on the stream? They wanted to turn X-Men and didn't want to call it X-Men anymore. X-They or X-They.
Oh, that was what's her name who's just been let go from Marvel?
Alonso. What's her face?
Alonso. Victoria Alonso?
Victoria Alonso.
Yeah. What a stupid cow.
You not like her.
No, I don't like her at all. Don't even talk about that Mindy, what's her face? Kaling, whatever her name is.
Mindy Kaling. Yeah,
Mindy.
Get on a tear about
yeah,
that.
Mindy Kaling is the one.
Yeah, stupid cow as well. Jesus Christ.
Alteori, did you see that? The Mindy Kaling, Velma fame, won a fucking award yesterday. It was like
I thought that was a joke. I saw
joke.
something suggested. I'm like, oh, they're just clickbaiting. I didn't even click on it. I was scrolling past it.
It was the
won an award for what? For the most hated
for being
show
brown.
in the world.
Yeah.
For being brown, that's what she wanted. Yeah, basically.
Are you serious?
Well, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, yes, that is why they didn't say that, but that's why 100%.
You know what? I saw an article today about this woman. She was right, and they showed a picture of the woman who wrote the article, and she was a woman of color, and she was talking about how they ignored the black films in the Oscars of this year.
Oh, shut the fuck
Which is absolute bollocks, right? Because there was one year where all they did was focus on black films, and Denzel Washington, I believe, won that year, and Halle Berry won that year. Both actors won that year. So that was a big year for black film in the Oscars. So she's talking crap because she was upset that Angela Bassett didn't get it, and it was Jamie Lee Curtis that got the supporting actor. So just this big article, it was ridiculous,
forbid.
Absolutely ridiculous.
I will say I do not think that Jamie Lee Curtis deserved that award, but neither did fucking Angela Bassett.
Yeah, well, I saw half the movie and I
here.
walked out, so I just couldn't take it anymore. I just walked out. Just this movie was absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. But I mean, even it makes you question. As I said to you, Matt, I said, it makes me question Everything Everywhere. I guess they deserve the Oscars, but I mean, was the cards dealt in their favor? That's
maybe. I didn't even think that movie was going to get nominated for anything, and it was just going to be like an under the radar hit for most people. So I will make I'll extend an olive branch here. I said it on another stream. I'll say it again that there are still really good movies that have that representation and all that bullshit, but they don't focus on it. And I think when 99% of it is forced agenda bullshit, we sometimes can't see the ones that truly deserve it, that are truly high totally quality. Agree. I think I'll stand by the fact that I think Everything Everywhere is one of those movies that's truly deserving of what it got, except really Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah.
Sausage fingers. Was it hot dog fingers? Yeah, ridiculous.
Her acting was better in fucking Halloween Ends than that movie. Fuck up. Get out of here.
Well, I mean, she was happy. She was happy because she represents the trans community, doesn't she? So
why? Because she's a hermaphrodite?
I don't know.
Okay, Jamie Lee Curtis has undescended testicles. This is not.
What?
No, her no, she has a kid who is trans, I think.
Right, but she also.
Jamie Lee Curtis is the what do you call it? The person from
Halloween.
Halloween. Yeah.
Her. The girl. Yeah, the girl from Halloween. Yeah.
Did you call him Jason Myers? Just out of interest.
I mean, sorry.
Jason Myers.
Yeah.
Did I say that?
Yeah, I don't think there's been a Halloween and Jason crossover yet. But
wait, no,
there won't be. Thank God.
Who's the Friday the 13th person?
That's Jason, and then I see what that's Jason, but then Halloween is Michael Myers, I think.
Yeah. Oh, well, whichever one she was in.
Yeah, it was Halloween.
They are functionally the same character, really. Right. I mean, like masked people with big knives.
They both have the white masks. That's kind of confusing.
No. Jason has a hockey mask and Michael has the white mask, and they really are fundamentally the same because the person who created Friday the 13th, like you can watch a million interviews with him. He's like, I fucking ripped off Halloween. I was gonna make a quick buck.
But Jason didn't start off with a hockey mask, did he? He was
it was part 3. Well, he wasn't even the original killer. In the original
Friday
the 13th, it was his mother, and then he had a stupid fucking sack over his head in the second movie.
Wait, what? He wasn't the original killer?
No,
it was the mother.
No, because the story of the first movie was that he drowned. He was like disfigured and had he was mentally. I don't want to be rude, so I'm not going to say mean things. But he was not smart, and so he was picked on.
He was not smart.
He was picked on at summer camp, and he drowned in the lake because
I remember his aversion to water, but I have to watch the movies. Like I think my problem is I only watch like clips of it because my mom's a big horror fan. So I would sit down and watch like maybe the last 30 minutes or like 20 minutes of the movie, and I never actually watched it straight through.
Oh, so we're adding a huge number of films to the list of things you need to watch. We've got Jaws, we've got all of Friday the 13th. But you've seen Jurassic Park, which is already brilliant because that's one of my favorite films.
I heard you guys talking about Orca the Killer Whale.
Yeah.
I have to literally disagree with you there. Orca the Killer Whale is a terrible movie.
Okay, wait. Okay, from today's standards, you can say it's kind of corny, but when I remember it, maybe it's because I watched as a kid, I don't know, but I was just like, oh, cool, it's a killer whale, and it's killing people, and it's so sad, and it was, I don't know, it just, I think it was traumatizing to me because I saw the whole thing.
I saw it as well when I was a kid, but the thing is that the idea that a killer whale has a brain that they can actually destroy things and knows how to bite electricity so they can cut off the power and all that nonsense.
Oh, but then again,
what the hell? They are intelligent. They're way more intelligent than a shark.
They are. But then Deep Blue Sea as a film and everyone
sure
seems to really
is.
like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because
And
it's a
the
piece
same.
of shit, and it's awesome for it.
Yeah, it was
Such a piece
amazing.
of
'Cause it was
shit.
the first I've seen of that where they
But they were
genetically
intelligent
engineer
sharks. Because they
Yeah.
were experimenting on them, weren't
They
they?
were
Yeah.
They were more
experimental,
intelligent.
genetically
Yeah.
engineered
That's
sharks.
it.
That
yes.
was great.
I love the Samuel L. Jackson death that just came out. Of
Oh
nowhere
god,
in
that part had me
film.
laughing.
Do you remember that bit?
That was very funny. Yes.
Do you remember that bit, Matt? Do you remember it?
I don't.
No. Oh
No.
Oh
No,
How
I
could you
don't.
not? That was
It's
we're not
iconic.
going
It's
to fight
iconic. Yeah, it is
anymore.
iconic. It's an iconic scene.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah.
He gets
Sorry.
killed by a huge, horrifically rendered CGI shark in the
Yeah,
middle of
that-
his speech.
Right. No,
Halfway
we were
through
talking
the
about that the other day. Sorry.
It's an
No, you're right.
inspirational speech too. It
That
wasn't
was
even a villain
the-
speech.
it was
We
when he
will
was-
make it out of here alive. Oh god.
No, he was giving his typical Samuel L. Jackson speech.
Yeah.
This is when Sammy J was already iconic, so
Yeah.
it was purposeful, so meta
it's
for
so
that shark to
sad.
jump out and fucking eat his ass.
Isn't that incredible that he started off? He was a druggie, and his first role was the mugger in Coming to America. Isn't that incredible?
shit.
From
America?
there, he was the mugger in Coming to America. Tried to mug the McDonald's place. Do you remember that scene in the film?
I didn't
That's
watch
Samuel L.
that.
Jackson. That's Samuel L. Jackson. That was one of his first roles. And from there, look at him now. I mean, he's like one of the biggest stars in the world.
Coming
You
to
guys can't
America.
remember Coming to America?
No.
Oh, I do. I just don't remember his scene. I only saw it once when I was.
and I've never watched it.
Do you remember the guy comes in with the shotgun and he tries to rob the place, and Eddie Murphy takes him out with a
Oh, that was Sammy
mop
J.
handle. With a mop handle, yeah. it
Was he
that was
going
Samuel L.
by
Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson at the time?
Yeah, well,
Was
yeah,
it
he was known as
Sam
Samuel L.
Jackson?
Because in the end credits, you have him with his name saying Samuel L. Jackson. So it
Yeah,
was
I remember
that
him
was
being
his
in
first role.
Goodfellas, and he just gets offed. Like
Yeah,
that was my
yeah.
first
He
experience.
was in
with Sammy J.
Goodfellas?
Just
Yeah, he
a
was.
very, very, very
small
small
role.
role. He gets
Yeah.
shot right in the back of the head. Like he's,
What?
he is
I don't
executed.
remember. What? I think I did watch. Wait, Goodfellas is the mafia movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the De Niro and
One of the best
Joe
ones
Pesci.
ever.
Yeah,
I
Ray
mean, I've
Liotta.
watched ones like those because my husband's part Italian, so he'd me watch all of those, and I don't remember that at all.
Your
I-
forte is more like you're into like you and I could have probably an entire day's conversation with Godzilla movies.
Oh yeah.
Godzilla.
Well,
Yeah.
actually,
I
the
have
newer,
seen most
the
of
newer
those.
movies.
Have you?
I haven't seen the old one. I've seen the old one. I've seen Shin Godzilla, which is my favorite.
Yeah, Shin
Um,
Godzilla
Shin Godzilla.
is real
Shin
good. I
Godzilla
like
is
that one.
awesome. All
That won
blood.
the Japanese Academy Award equivalent for Best
Hmm.
Picture.
Is you talking about the ones that were made in the 60s?
60.
Well,
yeah,
the first
I
one
don't
came
know.
out in-
King Kong.
The first one came out in
The
1954.
first one was 1954.
Right.
And you can only I had to watch it on VK because I couldn't find it. And then the other one, when was Shin Godzilla made?
Shin Godzilla was 2016.
That's the latest one.
2016.
Do you remember the scene where they strapped balloons on King Kong?
Yeah, that was
When I was
Godzilla
a
versus
kid.
that was King Kong versus
Versus
Godzilla. Which is
When I was a
a
kid,
complete,
yeah.
and I don't understand why anyone rooted for King Kong in that movie. Like, fuck King Kong. I was a Godzilla guy through and through, and I was like, you have to like literally blow this gorilla up and give
Yeah.
him electric powers to even fight Godzilla. That's such
But
bullshit.
Godzilla is just much more interesting conceptually than an
He is,
ape
yeah.
that is big.
Yeah.
It's just also you
But
can
they did
trace
a good
the
job in the new one, though. They did
They
a better
did.
job.
That
in the
was
new one.
enjoyably dumb, much like
Yeah.
Deep Blue Sea. I loved it. And it was
Me too.
terrible. I loved it.
I don't know. It was somehow I've watched all of the MonsterVerse ones and
Do you like any of them?
no.
Oh, not
You
a single
have to
one?
do you have to do videos on it, shitting that on them.
I tell you what,
as a
though,
Godzilla fan, I'd love to see that.
I
Yeah,
do
send me
like.
your scripts because I'll write a little bit just in defense of them. And you
I do. I tell you what, I do like the one with Matthew Broderick, though. I thought that was
That-
quite a lot of
what?
fun.
Oh yeah,
Like
the
that
one with
Get
the.
the fuck!
It
I'm
was
kicking
fun.
you
It
off
was
this
fun.
stream.
It was fun.
That was such a
It
piece
was
of
so
shit.
stupid, but it was fun.
It was dumb and
Because-
stupid. Yeah.
That is I think I'm right in saying that's the first film I ever saw in the cinema, and my dad smuggled me in to see it when I was like
Oh, right.
3.
Yeah.
And I think we saw it 6 times because I liked the big monster.
Oh my god!
It
Did
was
you
alright.
guys
It
ever
was
see
silly.
Godzilla Final Wars?
No.
Which one's that?
Okay,
one?
so that one came out in about 2004, and it was like the third. it was the final one of what's considered the Millennium era
Oh,
of
that's
Godzilla
the one where
movies.
they brought Zilla back, and then
Yep.
they killed her off so badly because
Yes, they
that was their
brought
way of
Zilla.
saying ours is better.
Yeah, that was their big like fuck you, like
Yeah,
for
that was
ruining our
messed
creature.
up.
We're gonna
Poor
kill
Zilla.
it immediately. The real Godzilla just stomps a fucking mud hole in that thing's ass. And
So, you know,
moves
like
on.
honestly, that's the first, the one with the mouth, Zilla. That's the first one I ever saw. The first Godzilla I saw, because I've known about Godzilla when I was younger, and I was like, why does everyone like this stupid thing? I love dinosaurs, but this thing looks like someone's wearing a suit. It's so stupid.
It was.
And when I saw, no, I know it was, but at the time, even as like really young, I was like, it's so stupid. It doesn't look like a real dinosaur. So when I saw Zilla, I was like, wow, this actually looks like a cool dinosaur. And that was my first introduction to Godzilla. But then I had more of appreciation for Godzilla when I saw the 2014 one. That's when I got into Godzilla. So
So did you guys follow the last ones? Like, for instance, it started off with Godzilla, and then it had King Kong, and then the third one they joined forces with Millie, what's her face from Stranger
Millie
Things.
Bobby
and-
Brown.
yeah.
What did you think of them? What did you think of them?
You mean Skull Island? And
Yeah, the first was the first ones.
was-
King Kong,
they had-
whatever it was.
No, it was
no,
Godzilla.
the first one was Godzilla
2014.
2014.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Kong Skull Island, and
That's it.
then Godzilla versus Kong.
Versus Kong. Yeah.
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 I love them. Like, okay, the first one was agonizing for me because I just wanted to see Godzilla, and they were playing it up and they were focusing only on the soldiers, and I'm like, I don't care about these people. I didn't even remember half of the people that were in there. But what stood out to me were the Mutos, the whole love story between the Mutos. I actually felt bad for them because they
Really?
just wanted to have sex. Like they just wanted to be together. And then Godzilla comes in, and these people are just screwing up their whole thing. And it's like, okay, I felt bad. I felt bad for the mother after she lost her baby. So that part stuck out to me. I remember that. Kong Skull Island, I love because
I didn't mind that. That was all right.
That was fun.
It was
fun.
the skull crushers, the skull crawlers. I love the concept of them, even though I will say I enjoy the King Kong movie from oh my god, I can't remember who did it. It's this famous guy's name.
The guy who
Carpenter?
did. No, you mean which one? The 70s one or
no, the new one with Naomi Watts,
oh,
where King Kong
who's
was in love with her.
Peter Jackson.
Jackson.
Peter Jackson. Yeah,
It was
I
all right.
love that one. One of
It was
my
all right.
favorite monster movies of all time because the constant action and the creatures and the whole fight between the V-Rexes and King Kong, that was badass. Like I love that. Like it made
At
me
the
feel like
time,
I
that
was
was
actually
amazing.
there. It was I
It
still
was all
watched
right.
it recently. It was still amazing.
I don't know. The one thing that I hated about that one in particular was that giant when they were like running along the mountain and the dinosaurs, they were just
it's terrible.
That
Yeah,
was
it was
so
stupid,
bad.
but it was hilarious. It was like, and then you see the raptors, their heads getting crushed when they're making that stupid noise that they make. I was dying of laughter the first time I saw it. Like, you don't take it too seriously. You're like, this is freaking awesome.
And
I just
also
love
the
it.
impact with Jack Black when he says that last line in the film. You can't take it seriously because it's Jack Black. Do you know what I mean? You
that
couldn't
was
really
such
take it any
horrible
seriously.
casting. I don't know why
Yeah.
the fuck they did that.
Yeah.
Did what?
Cast Jack
Hiring
Black.
Jack Black for that.
Are you
Like
serious?
when he speaks that last line, how can you take that seriously?
What was
Yeah.
it? Beauty killed the beast?
Yeah.
It was beauty. Like it's
Yeah, they should have said that. But like they take everything from him. I just thought they did it on purpose because I love Jack Black. I think he's hot. Like I understood that.
Who are we dealing with here?
I like big guys. What are you talking about? Like, but like no,
I
seriously,
like Jack Black. I just can't take. I'm not gonna.
But
I
you're
couldn't
not
take
meant
it
to take him
seriously.
seriously. Like he literally is the kind of character that's supposed to be the comedic relief in the movie. At least I believe so, or that's how he comes off. So when he said that, it was so inappropriate. I was like, wow, that's so cringe.
I didn't
But
mind
it's
it,
Jack Black.
but it was again, it was the CGI that put me off. Everything was CGI when they were on the boat.
Yeah.
Was CGI. Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of slightly put.
Wait, the
put
boat
me
was
off a
CGI
bit.
too?
Yeah, when they were on the boat, when they were going to the
What?
island.
I didn't know.
I'm going to bring another person on real quick. This is Vex Electronica. We have the most diverse panel on the
Hello, Vex. How are you?
Hi guys. How is everyone?
Great.
All of your fellow bigots are fucking great. We're all good.
Good.
Is it
Good.
great. We've
what
got
time is it
we've
over
got
there, Vex?
It's just after 8 p.m. Eastern Standard for me.
Oh, okay. Because it's
So we have a black guy, we have a black girl, we have a social justice
not
warrior,
black.
we have
Hold on.
Okay, not black. Sorry, we have a woman, we have a social justice warrior, we have a cartoon, and we have a cat. So this is about as
I'm a
diverse a stream as
fox!
you're ever going to find. A fox? Oh no!
Oh shit!
Sorry, I'm species phobia. Is that a thing?
Yep.
Speciesist? Yeah.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, guys,
Elitist
I've
prick.
got to go because I've got to work tomorrow, and it's 1 o'clock over here. So
Just before you run away, do you want to quickly give everyone a rundown of Rebecca Gold and where we can find it and what that's all about?
oh, okay. So I have a web series called Rebecca Gold. You can easily find it on YouTube by typing in Rebecca Gold, funnily enough. It's got my movies on there. I've got 3 movies on there. I've got a horror film, I've got a thriller, and I've got the web series Rebecca Gold, which is only 5 episodes. It's all we can afford. But I am making season 2, and I am making good headway. So hopefully you will get season 2 at the end of this year. A lot of people are expecting it for some reason. Actually, no, for a good reason. For a good
A very good reason.
Yeah, very good reason. That's me.
That's great.
Thank you very much, sir.
Fantastic. Well, I'll stick the link up in the description for this stream when it goes up live. So if
Thank
anyone
you.
watching back or watching now wants to find that, the link will be in the description, and I recommend you check it out.
Also, Matt, watch Killing Zone if you can, please. I just want
I
your
will. I
opinion on
swear
it.
to God. Let me finish my John Wick review, and Brittany and I will sit down and watch it. I swear.
Okay, and it's not a very good movie, but I think you might.
Hey, no,
find
I
something in
like
it.
I said, I'll watch it in context. I'll totally watch it in
right.
context, man.
All right, Vex, good
Cracking.
seeing you, sweetheart. I'll
It's good to
catch
see
up
you
with
as well.
Again, all right, I'll catch up.
Have a
with you
great week,
again.
eh?
Thanks for
Cheers,
coming on, Ian.
Ben, Matt, Vex, and I can't.
Alteori.
Alteori.
Alteori. Take it
Bye.
easy, guys. See ya.
See you later.
Bye. And then there were
we're back
4
into-
again.
And then there were 4 again.
Now we are perfectly balanced. Thank goodness.
As all things should be.
Hold on. I was listening backstage. Can you explain the Jack Black hotness to me, please?
Yeah, take that away. What the fuck?
Okay, I got made fun of this all the time, like for this all the time, and I don't know. I just think he's hot. Like what? Why is he not hot? I don't understand. Like,
Like physically?
let's not focus on me. Let's let's move on.
I mean,
I've
he's
never-
kind of like, he's old, overweight, and very hairy.
But he
Okay,
is
so
funny. Is it the
where are
funny
you
that
going?
He's very
attracts you?
funny.
No, he's
very
cute
funny.
too. I think he's attractive. No, really? Okay. Well, listen,
I'm not attracted to
I've
men,
been
so
okay.
I don't know how to answer the question. But you, three are.
I am, and no. This is all you.
Really? Like, okay, you can't say he's ugly though.
Yeah, you
mean,
can.
Wow. Okay.
That
moving
motherfucker's
on.
a 3.
Sorry. Jack
someone
Black
who's
is
not-
like the equivalent of undigested corn in human form.
Wow.
That's what
I
he
feel
looks
it's
like.
Too hard.
It's fucking
It is
rough.
too hard.
I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Okay, let's move on.
Oh, gross.
He is a rock star, though, so you've got to give him that. He's
He
got
is.
charisma.
It's the
He's
swag.
very
It's
charismatic.
probably the swag
And
that makes.
He's got a
Oh,
great
yeah.
high kick as well. If you guys watched
He
Community,
does
at
have a
all.
big, really big high kick.
So he's got that going too.
My favorite Jack Black movie is Orange County. Does anyone remember that?
No,
I
I've
do
never watched
remember that movie. 2001, I
movie.
think it was, right?
Yep, that
Mhm.
movie is an underrated comedic piece of gold. But
I agree.
it stars Tom Hanks's kid too in like his first big role.
Colin Hanks. There we go.
Colin Hanks.
Colin.
Anyway,
Careful now.
Stream Killer. Sorry. What was the 4th topic we were going to talk about?
The 4th and final
D&D.
topic is, there's a Dungeons and Dragons movie coming out imminently.
How would
I've
they
been
do
reading
that?
some of the, I don't know, but I've been reading some of the sort of the pre-screening reviews for it, and they all seem to be pretty positive, which almost certainly guarantees,
Really?
well, it almost guarantees that the film will be shit.
Yes.
But nevertheless, the pre-screening reviews have been quite positive. They say it's one of them. Where was it from? Collider, I think it was. Said that it's a great thing because for too long we've associated high fantasy with dark, serious stories, and this is just proof that fantasy can be fun as well. So in other words, they've turned fantasy, the only genre currently not infected by the MCU's comedy disease, into what sounds to be at least another MCU style comedy. which doesn't fill me with great confidence, but I'm prepared to be corrected.
Michelle's in there.
What? Okay, there's only 88 reviews, a critic score, and 50 audience score right now. But as of this very moment, the consensus is an infectiously good-spirited comedy with a solid emotional core. Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves offers fun fantasy and adventure, even if you don't know your HP from your OP.
Wait a
Okay.
minute. Didn't they have a? There was a movie that my dad had watched a long time ago with Marlon Wayans, I think. Pretty sure Marlon Wayans or one
Is
of the
that
Wayans
Double
brothers was in
Dragon?
Double Dragon. I have
I
to
think
look it
that's
up.
what you're talking about. I think it's Double Dragon from my.
That
from
sounds
my
like some
youth.
kind of sex move, but
That's what I
It's
was
a,
thinking.
it was a
too.
video game. It was
No,
a
I
video
don't
game
think-
turned
I don't-
movie.
No, it was a. No, I don't think that's it. That
there was
it
an older
it was-
Dungeons and Dragons film that came out in the, I don't remember what decade. It's 20 or 30 years old, I think. So there has been a D&D film before. I don't know if that's the one you're thinking of.
That's why I'm talking. Wayans' brother.
I'm looking up his
Dragons.
filmography.
Chat, I'll find, I can do stuff in the background. I forgot I can do this. According to Ryan Bailey, there was
here
a
it
Dungeons
is.
and Dragons movie in the 2000. So yeah, decades ago at this point. 'cause-
Holy shit! You're right.
Okay,
Wow.
D&D movie lawsuit. Wait. Okay, well, I don't know what's going on there, but it says Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, whenever the internet decides to. Anyway, one of the Wayans brothers starred in with this movie, and I don't remember all of it because I only saw parts of it. But it was called Dungeons and Dragons, and it was
was it a
very
comedy,
bad.
though?
But I think so. I mean, one
As
of the
a-
Wayans brothers was in it.
Oh my god! It has a 10% rating.
Well, you say
it
that,
was a
but
horrible
the
movie. It was
the
it was a bad
Orca
movie.
film, that Orca film we were discussing earlier, has a 9% rating.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if we want to go for,
Are
if we
you
want to go
kidding
via
me?
Rotten Tomatoes, that's all good.
Well, the thing I like, which is cinema score, this got a C+ cinema score, so that means it's like effectively a fucking F.
Oh.
That's kind of how those things work, because like cinema scores, when people that actually want to see the movie, that are probably going to be more biased than others, are they rate the movie on their way out, and so a C+ is generous, so that means it's probably more of like an F.
Just from Semantic Dragon, when asked why he accepted the role, I think in the Dungeons and Dragons film, Jeremy Irons said, "Well, I just bought a castle, you know." I hope that's true. I know he has in fact bought a castle. Jeremy Irons lives in a pink castle, which is that's a
Yeah.
flex of a
The
kind.
guy who
I-
voices Scar lives in a pink castle.
Yeah. And all
Interesting.
power to
Okay.
him. I want to live in a castle.
Yeah,
Finally,
that's
my
that's some
accent
big
will have
dick
a home.
energy right there. Regardless of the
Yes,
color.
no, like it's not just a castle; it's a pink castle, which I'm trying to form imagery
But it's
in my head.
was it Oscar Isaacs in relation to Star Wars when asked if he'd do another one, say yes if I needed a bigger house? It's basically the same dynamic. I took this because I'm massively cash strapped and I needed more money. But if you're using the money to buy a castle, then fair play.
And that's the same excuse the younger villain in Shazam 2 said about taking the role in Shazam 2 was because
Really?
she
Oh,
was,
yes.
yeah, that she was
You're right.
she was doing it for her career. She definitely didn't want to be in, no roles were coming in, so hop on this one. Always nice when people in Hollywood are honest, when they're not just lying, which they do for a living.
I took the job for cash. Yes. I knew there was a very, very thin dividing line between prostitution and acting, and sometimes you just have
discovered
to
it.
stray across it, yeah.
You know
we
the
have
movie's gonna be
discovered
bad.
Oh yeah, that movie was shit. I am shocked that this movie is getting decent reviews, but there aren't enough yet to really come to a consensus anyway. When is it?
But
actually
it could
come out?
be, it could genuinely be really good fun. I think the problem with certainly all the trailers give the impression that the kind of humor that it's deploying is something that we've all seen before countless times in every recent film, which is unfortunate. And I think a lot of films which strive to be kind of quaint and charming and not too serious are being dragged into the mire by the fact that the MCU does this all the damn time. So what once might have been quite an exceptional thing in a genre piece, hang on, we're injecting humor into high fantasy, isn't unique anymore. It's not necessarily a problem with the film or the humor they're deploying. It's just that the meta is that style of humor all the damn time. And people are kind of bored and sick of that, and they want a serious story. That said, sorry, wrong button. That said, Dungeons and Dragons to my great regret, I've never seriously played it. I think I've probably played Dungeons and Dragons with a couple of friends twice in my life.
I've never
And
played
both
it
times,
either. I want to, but I've
no.
never played it.
I've been wanting to
Same.
as well, but I don't have a
Yeah.
group to play with.
Same.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. There's three of us who've just said we wish we could play it, but we don't have a group to play it with. We just founded a Dungeons and Dragons group on the stream, guys. So yeah,
Have
we'll
fun,
live
you
stream the
fucking
next.
nerds.
But it's like, if there's one fantasy genre that you have to have fun with, surely it has to be Dungeons and Dragons. Like, the only two I've ever played, and I've seen a couple more played, I don't think anyone has ever taken them seriously. The first one I played, my friend's character had this giant special 12-foot magical dildo that he used to beat monsters.
Wow.
And then we had another friend who wasn't there for us at the time, so we made his character just taking the piss out of him, and he failed a bluff test against a tree, which is impressive. We had to cross a river, I think it was, and to cross the river, you had to get an intelligence score. And because we'd made him such a fucking idiot, he went to the tree and basically said, "Can I go across?" And the tree said, "Nah, mate." And so he said, "Okay," and wandered off and got killed.
Oh,
So
no.
there's so much fun you can have with Dungeons and Dragons.
I know. That's what makes it so awesome.
Which is why they must make it funny in the film, I suppose. But the downside is that so many thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people have played this game. And if the film turns out to be pretty shit, that means that millions of people in their spare time have told better Dungeons and Dragons stories than these very well-paid Hollywood writers are able to do. So
Most
they've set
movies.
themselves a high bar.
I have nothing to contribute when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons. I'm just enjoying.
I don't either, in all honesty. Yeah.
Fucking you two nerds, I guess.
Well, the thing is,
Well,
the only portrayal I've seen of it so far on screen that I absolutely enjoyed was in Stranger Things, and they used very small clips of it. But seeing them have fun, it just, I don't know, that made it more interesting. That was the better ways I've seen it portrayed. Actually, it's the only way I've seen it.
And they
portrayed.
played into, because it was very iconic, and actually the thing they did with it being suspected of creating like a Satanists club in Stranger Things is not actually inaccurate to reality. There was a
Yeah.
period in sort of the mid-80s where there was a genuine moral panic that this game was turning people into devil-worshipping Satanists.
Oh my
which is-
God, are you kidding me? I come from
It just
a
makes it
religious
more
background.
appealing, if anything.
It's like the whole basis for the whole Christian thing with even Pokemon. Like my mom straight up like got panicked because she's like, Pokemon is based on D&D, and I'm like, really? So I completely, yeah, it was not fun.
What?
You
Yeah,
can demonize Pokemon for abusing
Yeah, but
animals, but not
here
necessarily satanic. What the fuck?
no, they thought they were because the whole thing in the church thing was like they call them pocket monsters. Why would you want kids walking around with monsters in their pocket? And I was so like. I had to
Oh my god.
half my video games, and I was a big video game addict. I had to hide all my GTA games. I had to hide my Pokemon games, everything basically. And then I went to my mom one time, and I was like, "You realize that you're saying this, but Mario straight up like kills things all the time."
Yeah, he jumps on
By the
people's
same
heads and
studio that
murders
made
things.
Mario, and you love Mario. And then she was like, "Well, I guess it's not so bad then, because she wanted to play Mario." So
A good mom would have been like, "Well, I'm taking that away too." Why the
exactly
fuck did you
right.
tell me that?
But
Bowser is basically a satanic turtle. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you not?
Yeah.
He lives
He's a
in-
demon
he lives in
overlord,
hell.
essentially.
yeah.
Yes, he lives in hell. In
But
the N64 one, anyway.
You're defeating him, so it's okay, I guess.
True, you're fighting Satan as opposed to using him in battles against your friends, so that's true. Well, okay, so you guys you don't. Well, to be fair, none of us really know a huge amount about Dungeons and Dragons, evidently.
No.
But
No.
the argument, so from the fantasy genre, the argument that I've seen in reviews is that it's a charming and it's a quaint and it's a humorous departure from the oppressive norms of serious high fantasy. Can you see any validity in that argument?
I can see a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. I can see it.
Take it away.
I would have to watch it, but if you're talking about like comedic elements in fantasy stories, like what do you mean fantasy? Like what do you
Well, the example that I remember reading in the review was Game of Thrones, and the reviewer seems to think that all high fantasy is now taking the Game of Thrones model of being dark, serious, cynical, political, and gritty, which, I mean, Aragon came out in the late 2000s. It's not that long ago, and it was shit, but it wasn't Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a what, but my thing is, why does there need to be comedy in there? Like, I think there was elements of Game of Thrones that I found very funny, especially with Tyrion's character. Like every
Yes.
time he said something to someone, like he's unintentionally funny with how savage he is. I absolutely enjoyed that. And I think that you can still have comedy elements without you having to put this big brand on the front of the movie or show and say, "Hey, this is comedy." You can still have those. I also thought it was funny when Daenerys wanted Jon Snow to bend the knee, and he's like, "Excuse me, I don't know you," and I was cracking up because I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of funny that he did that because she's never heard that before." So I don't think there needs to be a situation where like, "Oh, you need to divulge from this because it's too serious." It's the story that's being told. There's plenty of fantasy stories that are based in comedy and ones that aren't. So I don't really understand that. Now, what I don't like is people putting comedic elements in there just for the sake of putting it in there. Like with the Thor Love and Thunder situation. Oh God, that was horrible. It gets to the point where it's really annoying and it kind of demeans the achievements of the characters when they've lost something or they're striving towards something. And someone
Agreed.
inappropriately makes a joke at the wrong time. The
it's
Quantumania movie was the same
horrible.
way. Like the Derek thing, they decided to add that for whatever reason. Okay, but it was actually pretty sad after the guy redeemed himself, and then they're just making a joke about him dying, and it's like, what is this appropriate right now?
Yeah.
They want us to feel sad or not because it's just you don't know what
Yeah, exactly.
It's a
What are we
multiple
supposed to
pleasure,
be?
you
What
know
are we
what you're
supposed to be investing in here? So has everyone here seen the Dungeons and Dragons trailer?
I think I saw
Oh,
the
yeah.
first trailer when that
Yeah.
dropped a while ago, but that's about
No, I
it.
didn't see
What
it
did you make of
because-
it, Vex?
I didn't really care for it because I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons person. I generally fantasy is not an immediate attraction to me. Like I like the Lord of the Rings movies and stuff like that, but I was just like, I'll see it when when a decent pirate copy comes out. There you go.
When I saw it, I was not looking forward to that shit at all. I was just like, oh my God. Didn't
I'm
look
looking
funny to
through
me.
clips of it. It doesn't look very appealing to me, to
It
be honest.
absolutely
It's
doesn't
just
look
gray.
appealing to me.
It looked
It doesn't-
generic, is
it
what I
looked
remember.
very
From the
Yeah,
trailer.
generic.
yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't look like anything special. There's nothing unique about it. And what I saw was just like, oh, Chris Pratt. He's not
Chris
Chris
Pine.
Pratt.
Chris
Chris
Pine.
Pine. He's the one that's like totally fine with just being made a fucking fool of for being a
Yeah.
man. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, good. I can't fucking wait to review this one. If it's good, whatever. But I don't know. Should I go see it?
I wouldn't pay to see it.
Yeah,
Well,
I wouldn't
have a
even go
movie
out of my way
pass,
to
so
see it.
Yeah, I see it for free anyway. But I also don't want to waste my time.
yeah, I think you can sit on that one. In all honesty, I haven't seen a whole lot of buzz around it either. In all honesty, so
Because it's not interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
people
I'm-
are fantasied out. In all honesty, with that
know what?
kind
They
of
should-
genre, like area of the genre.
They should have done a CGI, like you know how they have the new Mario movie, right?
Mhm.
Why don't they do something like that? Why do every single one of these Dungeons and Dragons type
Ooh.
movies have to be live action with CGI? I'd rather see an anime on it. They probably have tons of anime on it. Or I'd rather see like a CGI animation or 2D
Mhm.
animation of this kind of thing. I think it would work a lot better because when you think about fantasy and stuff, you don't want to see these drab colors and these random people. Like, for me personally, it's not appealing at all with fantasy, and I think it's done better in light of animation. Just my
And
opinion.
This movie is going to fucking bomb. I just googled
Oh,
like
yeah.
what the projections are, which is normally when the studio is providing what their projections are, and they're projecting like what was it? I just saw like 15 to 23 to 30 million dollar opening weekend, and
What's
it has
the budget on it?
$151 million budget. I don't know if they're hoping that worldwide's going to catch up, but if you're already predicting this, like maybe that's why there's no buzz about it, because they're like, oh, we got a bomb. And
If that's true, that's kind of astonishing. I mean, what's John Wick's opening weekend budget? Opening weekend box office?
73 million domestic
73,
and like
yeah.
160 worldwide.
177 worldwide.
Yeah, so it already it's well, no, not without prints and marketing and stuff, but budget wise, you got to double it up, so you have to triple it to break even, and then everything else is gravy. It's already gotten its earned its production budget back. After next weekend, it'll be in the red. or the black as it is, whatever the fuck it is, whatever that saying.
Why you got to be black, dude?
I'm sorry. White is right, they say.
Something's tight.
I'm not seeing a whole lot of buzz around this movie. I think
Nope.
the timing is also poor because it's coming out this Friday, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, end of March. So John Wick is still definitely going to dominate. And then the week after that, I think it's either the week after or the week after that, Mario's coming out. So
Yes. It's not well timed. It's hard to.
Time would have been right for this to come out.
yeah,
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting one because I guess it's in the nature of Dungeons and Dragons, because the whole allure and the pull of Dungeons and Dragons was that you create your own adventure. How do you even begin to carve this film out its own niche? Because you're almost going against the whole premise of D&D by officially, giving the audience an official sanctioned D&D narrative to fill. But I mean, it could be anything, and it's hard to see why they think that this could be a unique offering, unless they're playing into the meta of the thing.
They shouldn't have made it a film though, because even though I haven't played Dungeons and Dragons, I know that's a very vast universe. So it would have worked better in like a mini series format, or do it like that, so you can properly explore everything. Because even if you make your own story for it, that's way too much to cram into this is like an hour-and-a-half movie, we'll say. I don't like the fantasy, like, I guess, Peter Jackson did it fine with Lord of the Rings, but I think fantasy is much better suited for the TV format, just because there is so much world building that takes place in there that a movie can't do justice to.
That's fair enough. I think that's why we also gravitate towards anime, because like I found myself, maybe it's just in lieu of all the bad writing recently that's happened with the modern movies, but even the Korean rom-coms do writing and story structure so much better than a lot of what the Western media is putting out. Anime, there's like, it's top notch. Like, it's very rare that I'd find an anime that has a bad story. As a matter of fact, to this day, I don't think I've watched any anime that has a bad story. Usually
what about
it's
the
like,
original
this is
Pokemon show?
Huh?
It still had a
That
story.
has a banging story. What are you talking
I
about?
didn't finish watching.
love
I had to go
Pokemon.
back. Every time I try to go back, and I kind of fall off. But I do want to sit down and watch all of that. But
It officially finished last week, I
heard.
think it was. The
Ashes.
last
I
ever
heard,
episode,
yeah.
Ash's Adventures, finished, and I saw the clip came up on my feed, and I thought, you know what? I don't want to watch that. That's a moment of my childhood that's ending. And it's really
it wasn't
sad.
even sad or anything. It was just like, it was like how they open up the episode with them just walking down a road. That's really all the clip was.
Well,
Just we don't get to see the next step now. That's it.
Fair enough. So what is he? He's like, I'm going on another adventure, and this one's a private one, mate.
Yeah, it was like he was at a fork in the road, and he tosses up a stick that coincidentally looks like a fork in the road to try and decide which way they go, and then they just continue on their way, and then the camera pans out. That's it.
Who's going to be like the next? Like, Pikachu's the face of the franchise. So what are
Yes.
they going to do with as far as, because they're starting another show? I think they're going to have a female protagonist this time, so whatever. But what are you going to do as far as the mascot Pokemon?
Just make
Is
a
it going to be
suitcase
Pikachu
Pokemon.
again?
Just make that the face of the whole show.
suitcase.
A suitcase
It would be
Pokemon.
really like handy on your adventure if your Pokemon just stores all of your items.
That would be.
They made a set of keys and ice cream and garbage bags and stuff. Pretty sure.
And a
Oh,
chandelier.
no,
yeah,
yes,
there
it
you
is.
go. Yep.
Yeah.
Like I've seen the new designs. I don't think I've played one since
No.
probably when did I? No, I did play Legends of Arceus, that 3D one when that came out.
I love
I'm
that
playing
shit.
I'm playing Violet right now.
It was all right. Like
I liked where they were going with it. Like, I saw the potential, and so I was very, very excited. But then it fell flat with the official releases a few months ago. Those games were so fucking buggy. I wanted to throw my Switch across the fucking room.
That's the problem everyone had. Yeah.
God, I was
apparently
so
most of
They
annoyed.
it's
never
still
used to be
there
like
too.
that. They used to put out quality stuff, and now they're racing against everyone. They're like, let's just charge you $60 while making a game that's like half done.
God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I still
even
love
if
it.
it was like, even if it was still, it wasn't a giant leap over the previous games in the franchise, they were still quality. Like, they were completed. There weren't a lot of problems, but nowadays even Nintendo's moved into, well, we'll fix it in post type of thought process. Like, well, we'll release the game and then patch it with updates. Well, you're not going to fix how goofy that fucking monster looks when you jump with the bike. It looks absolutely fucking ridiculous. The physics are atrocious.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm geeking out right now over Pokemon. This is
No, I'm just enjoying
That's okay,
how riveting Dungeons and Dragons is as a prospect that we've just branched into talking about Pokemon.
Right, no Pokemon.
It's like, talking about anything else. Like what's your favorite cheese? That's probably a more interesting conversation than Dungeons and Dragons. But trying desperately to hove it back towards the thing in the title.
Have fun.
Yeah. I mean, what is there even to say about Dungeons and Dragons? So, okay, I guess the fantasy thing is, as a genre point, this is a way of talking about D&D without actually talking about it. We haven't had a huge amount of top-tier, high-quality fantasy fiction anyway in the last 10 years,
That's
maybe.
true.
So, Dungeons and Dragons comes around, and the reviews say, at least it's not being like serious fantasy tends to be these days. But what have we actually had to even prompt that observation? Is there not, if anything, more of a market for serious fantasy, given that we haven't had any of that since
Would you consider
season
The
3
Witcher?
of Game of Thrones?
Would you consider The
No.
Witcher
The
fantasy, even though it's
he's
based
more
on a
lighthearted
game?
too.
What's that?
Well, the first season, it was more lighthearted for The Witcher. That was more lighthearted.
But that's normal for the Witcher universe in general, right? There is a fair amount of
Exactly.
comedy built in. So
Yeah,
it
I was
made
also
sense
corrected.
there.
House of the Dragon is a good counterexample. Probably an exception that proves the rule, but it is a good series. Sorry, yeah, that was an interjection. The Witcher. I mean, has anyone here played the games or read the books?
I played a little bit of The Witcher 3.
Vex, have you
I
played
am
and read, or played or read?
No,
or-
just I played Witcher 2 and most of Witcher 3.
So,
So-
what did you think about the adaptation?
I thought it was garbage. The
Yeah.
only reason I kept watching was for Henry Cavill. That's it.
Yeah, same.
It's even if I had not played the games or read the books, just everything, that entire series is just a goddamn mess, in all honesty. They rushed a lot of things. They didn't develop any characters. They focused way too much on the female characters and then didn't even build them up properly, so I give a flying fuck. Like, and then the second season comes along and all the costumes are suddenly garbage. Like, I know a lot of people love The Witcher, and that's like, you do you, bro, but I thought it's a shitty TV show. It does no justice at all.
Henry is like the only draw. It was the only reason why I even wanted
And
to
a lot of
watch
people
it.
I've talked to will only watch it because they like Henry Cavill, and it's a chance to see him on screen, and because they keep hearing about how he's, a nerd, and he's very into The Witcher. He knows all the lore, and he tried to bring that to his role. So I honestly, when Netflix first announced it, I was like, ugh.
That makes me
All
wonder
right.
what the hell they're doing then. If he's the main draw, this show is going to get canned after one more season, right?
Oh, so yeah, it was supposed to be 7 seasons with Cavill, right?
Yeah.
And now that he is leaving early and this will be his last season, they're going to end it around 5. But in all honesty, I think it's going to end a lot sooner than that.
Well, weren't they bringing like dipshit Hemsworth in, like the one that no one likes?
the discount Hemsworth brother.
Discount
yes.
Hemsworth,
The
right,
Hemsworth
right.
who is so irrelevant no one even remembers his first name, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
It's just
the one
a
that was
Hemsworth.
married to Miley Cyrus. There you
Yeah.
go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hemsworth married to Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, that should say a lot about his character right there.
Excuse me. It says a lot about my character too, because if Miley was here, that's fine with me. That's fine with me.
What is happening?
Stop the cat.
Oh,
Just
I
gonna,
just lost a little respect for you, dude.
just gonna write this one down for the next time I chat to your girlfriend. But yeah, okay.
She knows.
Okay.
She doesn't give a fuck.
Oh no, she's down
She
for that.
probably has her
apparently.
own crush too.
Oh yeah. Britt, do I like Miley Cyrus or what? Oh, she's probably taking a
She's
nap.
like, you're on your own.
I see the appeal, but she looks like she would fuck a hot dog on a street curb. That's all.
Yeah.
And turn it into a music video as well. So
Turn it into a music video. Yep.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's The Witcher is not gonna go well, and the Blood Origins series that came out at Christmas time as well.
I've heard
shit
about
show.
that.
The writer of the books even says, like, "What Netflix? What the fuck are you doing with my IP? You're doing nothing good with it. Like, just stop." So nobody wants us to keep going.
And what is that stupid show that came out a few months ago? Blood Origins, right? That probably just smashed that IP into the ground more.
Because all it was pandering and ESG scores and stuff.
Oh God! Stop, Mr. E.
Oh, I can.
Well, that's an image I'm not going to get out of my head.
Princess Fiona actually has a defense on Miley Cyrus.
She makes a good point.
You do. You make a good point. Thank you.
She does make a good point. But I will say, a woman that talks about the things that Miley Cyrus talks about so openly, that is a huge red flag right there. That's all.
I
don't even know anything about that.
Oh no! I'm just saying, even as like a booty call, man, I still can't. No. But then Taylor Swift, no, she's been run through a little too much.
I sound like a bird.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
All right.
God, I'm so done.
We are all. This is a stream about entertainment. We're just letting everyone know about our preferences. All right.
Yeah, we need to shut up.
Oh my God. Shit, those are all 4 topics that we had on the plate.
So Dungeons and Dragons, right? Yeah.
So Dungeons and Dragons, right? Gonna get back to that one.
I think we're done with Dungeons and Dragons in all honesty.
Oh yeah. But that itself is an indicative sign. I've seen a few adverts for this thing around, and yeah, that's about as much as there is to say about it. Like the fact that there are adverts there, they are trying to push it. It's one of the longest running, biggest franchises in the history of entertainment, and
that's impressive.
We start talking about it and end up talking about Pokemon, and then who's run through Taylor Swift.
To be fair, half the panel doesn't really know anything about Dungeons and Dragons.
No,
so
you say half the panel, none of the panel knows about it.
Here's a question. We're talking about fantasy, right? And what constitutes as a good fantasy? Because we had Rings of Power recently, and whatever. Platoon. How would you structure a good fantasy movie nowadays?
Ooh.
Oh my God! I know
that was heavy, but just based on what you've seen that people are not okay with, or what they're doing with the MCU, what would be like a typical outline of something that you would think would be successful for a fantasy story? Or
are we talking about an adaptation or something original?
Either.
I mean, an adaptation, it's the cheap answer, but it's cheap for a reason. If you're adapting something like Tolkien, you probably adapt Tolkien, and you don't do what the Rings of Power creators said, which is that we're telling the story that Tolkien never could. Because it's such a well-loved franchise for a reason, which is that he was amazing at what he did. If you're going to adapt it, adapt the thing. If you're creating something new, which would be lovely to see, then half of the reason good fantasy works is because Tolkien himself talked about the value of escapism. It's something that's bringing you out of this world into a new one. What you don't do is tell stories about the real world in your fantasy world. If you're telling a brand new fantasy story on the screen, what you really want to start off with is a world that people actually want to go into and to live in and to inhabit. And that involves an awful lot of work before you go onto the screen to begin with. You need to actually have a sense of what world you've built before you start telling the story in it, because everything in the story depends upon the world, even the mundanities of the world, like how big it is, what distances exist between two different places. If you've built your world out, it becomes much, much easier to then tell a story within that, which actually makes sense. And it's faithful to itself. The last thing you want to do is to do what Rings of Power did, which is to take a world which already exists on the page and on the screen, and then to say, well, we can teleport people just back and forward as and when we like, because that's what the plot requires us to do.
So you think for those situations they should have been, because I understand what you're saying about that too. They do the same thing in Mandalorian, which is really grating on my nerves. But what would be a better way of them writing that out? Because sometimes I find that people, like when they're doing shows or movies, they'll say, "Oh, 2 days later," or "somewhere in this place."
Yeah.
You've lost the element of the passage of time. So, what would be a better way for them to do that, like as a
I mean,
writer?
the two options you have is either you do the 2 days later thing, but then everything you're writing has to account for the fact that 2 days have passed, or you elongate your story and you depict the stages in between. So, like, I wrote a book last year, I think it was, which I'm still editing, and the characters needed to get from London in this weird post-apocalyptic future, where everything is sort of Ice Age. They needed to get from London to this Greek island. And just in the course of writing it, to make it make sense, it turns out that I had to find myself writing their journey through Portugal, Spain, Morocco, Malta, and every other country in between. So what started as an accident, because my dad bought me a typewriter, so I sat down and thought, well, I'll see if this works. Typed a few words, and then 6 months later, there's a 600-page book. But it's only 600 pages because I needed to take the time to explain all the intervening steps and to tell stories within those intervening steps. The alternative is that you just cut that out. You say 3 days later, but you can't pretend that nothing happened during those 3 days. You have to account for the passage of time, even if it's just implied. You can't say, as Rings of Power does, and Mandalorian does as well, as you say, but Rings of Power, for example, when Halbrand gets injured at the close of the first season, and then they jump over several thousand miles to where's the forge in Rings of Power? The name's gone. Anyway, they jump over to the forge, which is several thousand miles and several mountain ranges away from Mordor. And he's been mortally wounded, which is the reason they're traveling. They jump forward and they just say, "Oh yeah, we rode 3 days without sleep." It's like, okay, well, your horse would have died. He would have died as well. Yeah. And you couldn't have actually... chat's correcting me, it's a Regium. And also, you could not physically have done that journey in 3 days anyway. So if you're doing 3 days later cuts, actually account for the time that you've elided.
I see what you're saying. So, like, put close to... Okay, well, to correct something I've said, Mandalorian does a bad job of doing distance. Accounting for distance and the time and stuff like that. But like in the latest episode, which was a horrible episode, they did show the passage of time with them camping, showing the establishing shot of them walking across the desert. So
but they did it when they did it when they shouldn't have done it, because
that's exactly
the whole reason that they're going there to save a kid who's in the belly of a pterosaur.
Yeah, that she could have saved just from the beginning when she followed it. I know.
Yeah, and the dad is there, and the dad says, "We can't shoot it, it might kill the kid." And then they get to the foot of the cliff, and then he says, "Yeah, it's fine, let's just take a nap and have a meal, and we'll wait another day, and then we'll climb the cliff." And then he decides, "Oh no, we can't possibly be cautious, I'm just going to jump into the..." Oh god, yeah, the Mandalorian is just... there's a reason my script is 25,000 words long, so it's...
I think the biggest issue we have with most of these is just the writing. It really just boils down to the writing for these things, because you see Wattpad stories and fanfiction.net, and these
John
are
Wick.
regular... These are regular people that are writing far better, entertaining stories than people are getting paid millions of dollars to do. Just wondering where the disconnect is, to the point where people are seeing upcoming movies and fantasy stories and adventures, and they're just so uninterested because they've probably been let down so much that it's just unappealing to them. Anything that they see that slightly resembles all the hundreds and dozens of shows and movies that have come before it that have been letdowns.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that will be the useful thing that the Dungeons and Dragons film accomplishes, is that it will tell a worse story than people have done in their spare time on their own tables.
Exactly.
And that's all about passion too. Like if you're doing it and you're doing it for completely free, it's because you give a shit. And if you're doing it to get paid in Hollywood, you're dealing with studio interference and studio direction of like, you have to do this and X and Y. You have people who are hired specifically to do things and not because of their ability to actually write. It's more of their ability to slap a name and be like, black person wrote this one, trans person wrote this one.
Nepotism.
Right. Or nepotism, or it's nepotism and they're black, or like whatever reason. That is the difference there. Alex Friedman says the disconnect is viewers are too spoiled and don't deserve competent stuff. That's right. We don't deserve competent stuff, and that also means studios don't deserve my fucking money.
Oh, true. I think the reason I highlighted that comment is that there's an element of truth to it, which is that studios will go with the lowest common denominator, and to the extent there is an audience out there which will lap up stuff like Rings of Power, you're not going to get anything better than Rings of Power. The Mandalorian's another really good example. The Mandalorian is held up as being the premier Star Wars TV production, and there are still people who will defend it to the hilt. And I've always wanted to like The Mandalorian. I've enjoyed The Mandalorian. I still enjoy it, but for all the wrong reasons. But if you're turning around to a studio and you're saying that we will flock to The Mandalorian despite the fact that its writing has never made any damn sense, then what you're telling the studio is that we can get away with putting no effort into the writing at all because people will flock to watch it. And then at the same time, the fans will be accused of being impossible to please in the case of Star Wars fans, which is...
That's not totally fair, because like if they actually look at the reasons people are giving as to why they don't like something, like everyone's broad stroking it by saying, oh, the fans can't be pleased because we have something with subpar writing, and they admit that it's subpar writing and see it became very popular, but then we don't. Like, that's not the reason. If you look at what the actual comments are, they allow, well, they used to freely allow people to leave critical reviews about things, and in those reviews you can see what people are saying. I don't think it's just for the consumers. I think it's a tool for the studios to use as well, to see why is it that they're saying the writing is bad. And a lot of them might not even care because they have this whole outlook that they get paid. They went to school for this, and I went to film school too. It doesn't mean I'm freaking Steven Spielberg. But if you're wanting people to buy your products and they're not, I would be interested as a business person to understand why that is. Where is the disconnect? And then when people come out and say that these characters are very shallow, these are the issues. Look at these movies that were successful and we like these, and look at what you're doing with this one. But then the studios come out and say that you're being toxic, or the reason is because you're misogynist, or they're just deflecting everything that the consumers are saying they have an issue with. And how are they going to make the product better? At this point, people are taking something that is the bare minimum because they haven't had something like that in a long time, and they're accepting it because they've just been getting something much worse. It doesn't mean that they're encouraging the studios to continue doing the bare minimum. It's just that the bare minimum just happens to be way better than all the awful stuff that they've been getting. So it's a very weird kind of cyclone going on where the audience and the business people, because it's not artists that are doing it, let's be honest. The studios are mostly business execs that are making these decisions. There's a huge disconnect. And even if the people who originally made those stories go to the business execs and say, hey, this is what my fans like, they will say things like, well, no, we want to reach these people over here, so change this and change that. And before you know it, 90% of what you wanted your movie to be is the business execs' decisions, not yours. How do we fix that?
But it's always kind of been that way. The problem
not
is
to the degree that it is now, because now they're trying to please people on social media. It's been about money. Money usually talks. Apparently, for whatever reason, that's not much the case. It's now buzz that talks, as much attention as you can get, because attention means potential money later on. Even though your stuff doesn't do well monetarily, if enough people are talking about it on social media and it's creating a buzz, it creates a potential for more money later on.
Potential, but I think two things are happening here. For one, I think it's pretty fair to point out that train of thought has backfired dramatically for them, because take a glance at how many fucking views Little Platoon's She-Hulk video has, and then let's go look at the numbers for how many people actually watched She-Hulk. Right.
My She-Hulk video is around the ballpark of the viewing figures for the premiere of The Mandalorian season 3.
That's wild.
And so I think there's, like I said, two trains of thought. One is that they're hoping it pays dividends in the future and people become nostalgic for the bullshit that's coming out now. Because I think I used Hook as an example. Steven Spielberg hates that movie. I don't really know why, because I love it, but that could be my bias. Yeah, the movie Hook.
Oh yeah, people were saying I had to watch that. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, it is good, but I don't know if I just love it because I loved it when I was a kid, so I'm nostalgic for it, and I'll always give it a free pass. And I'm wondering if that's what they're hoping for in the future. Like that's what this generation's going to do. The other train of thought too is just, all this massive cultural shift came to a head. It really started not that long ago. You're talking like 4 or 5 years ago. So all these things get put into production then, and you're talking about projects that take years to do. So, now they're starting to see the results of that, which is like poor reviews, poor box office, and they're trying to recuperate from that. The wind might start blowing in the opposite direction here soon. It's a very real possibility, especially if you look at what's going on at Disney and all the bullshit that's happening, all the fires, the layoffs. It all sounds pretty good to people like us. So it's still, to be determined, but I think one of those is going to be right.
Well, now they're all dropping the ESG scores like en masse, right? So I think we're seeing the worst of it right now, because like you said, this has just been years in the making and it's all hitting now. But now they're starting to be negative feedback. I think this is going to be the point now where we see it all turn around.
It has to be, because money
took a
fucking
while for
talks.
the stone to get rolling. Is that what you thought was happening? Like
I think they put their finger in the air. Yeah, I think they put their finger in the air. They put their finger in the air and said, everyone's saying culture's going this way, so we're all about diversity now and all that shit in America and in the UK, not in China though.
Yeah.
But then this is why Indian cinema is blowing up, because Indians don't give a fuck about all of this stuff over here.
Exactly.
So their cinema is
too.
becoming
Right.
South Korean and Japanese as well.
Yeah,
to a lesser
all the
extent.
Asian markets. Yep.
Yep, all the Asian markets are popping
You
up.
know, Netflix is filled with that, by the way.
Yeah.
Netflix, I looked up K-dramas because I love K-dramas, and I'm like, oh, the good stories and stuff. And I just see like way more K-dramas, just the entirety
All
of
of a
it.
sudden, yep.
I'm like, where did these come from? There's like dozens, if not hundreds of them on here that weren't listed on here prior. And I think Netflix was kind of panicking with their situation, but they realized also this was something that people wanted. And it is. A lot of people are getting into it because the stories are structured so much better. It's kind of sad.
It's the same thing. In the UK, we had the argument with the BBC commissioning so many dramas from Scandinavia, from Norway and Sweden and Denmark. And should they be doing that? And there was an argument in the House of Commons, I think it was, about whether the BBC should be spending its money on investing in these things, or should it create its own content. And my question for all the people who were making these arguments, politicians and everybody else, was, but what has the BBC actually done that's better than what's currently coming out of Scandinavia? The answer is nothing. There's a reason they're commissioning these things. It's because they're very, very popular. Why are they popular? Because they're basically invested in telling good, solid, realistic stories and not pandering to quotas, which is unfortunately what most of the rest of the media ecosystem is relying upon.
Yeah.
So is there anything that we are all looking forward to, having dispensed with D&D within the space of about 3 minutes and talked about everything else, and with these market shifts accounted for, is there anything that is in the pipeline at the moment that we think could be surprisingly good? And Vex, if I'll come to you first, if that's okay.
Warhammer 40K, I think, has the potential to be good.
Is that on Amazon?
Yeah, simply because a nerd is producing it. That's the only reason I have hope for that in the pipeline.
Is that Henry Cavill's involved with that, isn't he? Yeah. So I know very little about Warhammer as well. It's like Warhammer and D&D are the two things that I wish I'd got into but never did. So
I never got heavy into Warhammer either. I kind of have just wet my whistle a little bit in it. But in terms of just because they're all going after just IPs for now, right? No one's looking to make original stories anymore, but I have because we're in that trend, Warhammer's the only one I genuinely have some hope for. There was another Disney live action announced for the Aristocats today.
Really?
I know I got zero hope for that at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
They should not. Oh God.
I don't understand why, because it didn't look good with The Lion King and it didn't look good with the Jungle Book. So I don't know why you would keep bothering. But yeah, I don't. That's really the only thing I'm looking forward to. And Barbie.
Oh God, I saw the preview for that. What do you even do with that concept? What is that?
That's why I'm interested in it. I'm genuinely thinking what the fuck are you gonna do with a doll?
What's the story?
That's the only reason I'm interested, is what are they going to do with it?
The trailer didn't it didn't allude to a fucking story. It was just hey, Margot Robbie's Barbie. Cool, right? All right.
Oh, I dug way deeper into that trailer because it was a callback to 2001 Space Odyssey, right? The whole trailer, and then it's little girls.
Okay, so I've missed a step here. So
That's true. It was. I forgot.
there was
Yeah,
a Barbie trailer, which is a callback to 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yes. Yes.
The way it's like it's zooming out and like the giant center figure of the trailer that they've been like shooting and alluding throughout it is just a giant version of Margot Robbie in a bathing suit.
Oh.
And then
hold
on, it's a one piece though. It's not a bikini.
Oh no, my was it's 2001: A Space Odyssey, not it's Margot Robbie in a bikini, which probably yeah.
I'm interested about Margot Robbie in a bikini. I'll watch that.
Honestly, it's a cool trailer, but it's just from that trailer alone, I'm getting already the vibes that it's going to still be a lot of that. Women are way better than men, and the patriarchy and all of that stuff.
If you want a good indication of like unpopular nerd in school, I'm more excited about 2001 references than Margot Robbie in bikinis. But so is that just cinematographic, or is there any indication that there is more like intelligence going into a Barbie script?
No, I think it's supposed to be a musical as well.
Is it really?
It's a musical.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh no,
I might be wrong.
I'm not watching a musical.
I might be wrong, but still, I'm a girl that grew up with Barbies. I had a little Barbie Mustang and everything. So
I used to pop their heads off, and rip their legs off, and drown them. I hate it. No, you know why I also hated them? Because I was a tomboy. My mom really wanted me to play with them, and I couldn't stand them. I just couldn't.
Oh my god.
Freak me out.
That's fair. But no, this is just nostalgia bait. It's like you had brought up earlier, Cynic. Like I'm literally only interested in that for the nostalgia.
Fair enough. Yeah, and I am not nostalgic for it. So,
but nostalgia for what? I mean,
Barbie.
That's not a thing.
Triggers things in your brain.
I'm struggling to figure out what story you can tell with Barbie that you can be nostalgic for.
It was the ability that much like Dungeons and Dragons, Barbie allowed you to create your own story.
Oh yeah,
and you could get all the accessories, and that could do it for you as well. And then she had her friends and all this stuff, and then they kept coming out with like different versions of her, like she was an astronaut or something like that. So there's the ability for potential. Okay.
I could see that, but I can't imagine a Barbie musical without the Aqua song, and
right.
I'm hoping there will be a reference to that. In all honesty, there probably
there
won't.
was something about that they couldn't get the rights for it or something.
Is that
I hope not,
or they didn't want to be associated with the song.
Well, if that goes into the film, I will shoot myself. So hopefully, no.
God, well, don't go see it, please. I need you for the show, man.
I'm an animated avatar. I could just leave the avatar here. And
and I do have an AI voice thing, and we have like hundreds of hours of you talking. So
exactly, I'll be automated out of existence well before you are.
That's
so
true.
just get an AI. It'll be fine. So besides Barbie, which is not a sentence I ever thought I'd utter, what is everybody looking forward to?
The only thing I'm looking forward to with the Mario movie.
Yep.
Okay, I can see that.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm optimistic.
It's the Jack Black sounds great as Bowser. And I honestly didn't really have any issue with Chris Pratt voicing Mario. I didn't.
Me neither.
There's like a subtle hint of a New York Italian accent. And what do you want? An hour and a half movie where someone's running around going, "It's a me." I don't want you to speak if you're going to talk like that for an hour, or hour and a half. Get the fuck out of here. So you had to.
It's just a reason to hate on Chris Pratt. That's all it is.
Yeah, no,
people just have a hate hard on for him. So
it's fine.
He hasn't done anything. Like he literally is getting hated on for doing nothing.
I know. Poor man.
Poor guy.
Well, you said that actually was the reason for hatred, is that one of the first scandals he was embroiled in was...
Because he wouldn't get involved with politics?
That was the one, yeah. He's a Christian who goes to a church, and he didn't comment on a political issue. He said nothing, and that's evidence that he's a fascist, apparently.
I don't think scandal was the right word to use to describe that.
Well...
he keeps his mouth shut and goes to church. Scandalous.
That guy's a piece of shit.
I mean, no, it shouldn't have been a scandal, but it turned out to be one.
Yeah.
Well, there was the vegan thing as well, right? Because there was that restaurant, I think it was, in California or something, and then they were harping on someone ordering like meat on the menu, And then the day after that happened, he posted a picture of, because he's a hunter in real life. So he posted a picture of like his latest kill, and then people got really upset.
Oh yeah, I remember that too. Wow, he kills first food.
Yeah, but look what veganism did to Robert Downey Jr. Like it turned him into.
Look at what veganism's doing to the environment.
It looks like fucking.
How many animals are killed? Like like working at a farm. Because they knew I loved animals, they'd be like, if they find the animals while they're trying to till the soil to plant new crops, they'd be like, hey, come here, we found a thing of bunnies, and bunnies actually bury their babies. I didn't know that. But throughout the entirety of the field, there's just under the dirt these little nests with baby bunnies in them. And that, unfortunately, a lot of animals are killed just to till the fields to make crops that vegans eat. So it's like you're picking and choosing. You know, there's always a necessary evil to survive and to eat. So it's just the way nature is. You're gonna go out there and tell the lions.
Cute, Alteori. So you got to save those.
Look, I love animals. I really, really do. But I also live in the real world where I understand, like, people have to kill things.
Isn't it more fucking humane to like kill your own animals too, rather than buy it from like a fucking farm where they pump chemicals and shit into them and they live horrible lives on top of each other?
So look, I understand where vegans are coming from, and I actually, my husband hates when I say this, but I commend them. I commend them for the people who have the, it in their heart, the morality of it, of not wanting to mistreat animals, because you shouldn't have to mistreat them or abuse them to eat them. I don't agree with that. But just going out and saying, oh, meat eaters need to die, like lions too, like we evolved eating meat, and while we can live without it. Many people, it's not for everybody. It's not realistic to expect the whole world's going to be like that. So I think it's kind of silly to vilify people just based on their diet. Like even the people who raise their own cows are still apparently evil, and there'll be an excuse for them as well.
And in my house, my girlfriend's the most evil between the two because she's full keto. She just eats fucking meat.
Oh wow!
That's
meat
all
and
she
veggies,
eats.
Yeah.
She doesn't even eat veggies. She just eats fucking fat and
it's just a carnivore diet, we'll say.
Just a carnivore diet, the meat diet. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, gotta do what you gotta do. I mean,
badass.
And the thing is, it's the demand too. Like the whole reason why it's like that is because of the demand. There being so many people who want that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Well, I think they should be praising Chris Pratt for killing his own meat and not giving money to the factories.
Like the fact of the matter is those animals only fucking exist to feed us. So the fact that they're alive, like, you're welcome. But in addition to that too, like Chris Pratt's giving him a great life, and they, when they're slaughtered, they die instantaneously.
Yeah, they're not bred for the purpose of consumption. It's a circle.
Yeah,
circle of life,
man.
Circle of life, yeah.
I think in the ideal world, would set vegans against like body positivity activists, because you wouldn't be killing animals, and they would feed a huge number of people. So vegans should really be in favor of cannibalism of like obese people.
Actually, some have actually made that argument. In all honesty, that if you do want to eat meat, you should just eat people.
Wow.
Oh God!
They want them to die anyway. Like that's.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
For real, that is an argument that some have made. I don't.
I've never heard that argument made before.
Yeah,
but
no,
I can understand why they made it.
I did philosophy at uni. Trust me, I've heard this argument already. It's you get some very, very peculiar people.
Interesting.
I like Maddox's argument. You brought up Maddox earlier, and I was like, yeah, that was the guy that does the other show, but
the show whose name we've stolen accidentally. Yes.
We stole that shit, but we put probably at the end, so it's fine.
That's fine, yeah.
No, but he said if you are a vegetarian, he's gonna eat the animal you're not +1. So the fact that you're vegetarian is actually far more detrimental to the earth.
But you don't need to. It's already dead. It's like you not buying a dead animal doesn't bring it back to life.
A vegetarian told me this though. Well, if the entire world just stopped, then it wouldn't be dead. And I'm like, but it'll never fucking happen. So why don't you just indulge yourself?
Like, if we can just reverse economic growth and go back to living like the caveman, okay, fine, but we won't. And that's a terrible idea because people died under the age of 35. So no, eat what you want within reason, and try not to be fat is probably the best
option
to make. Yeah.
And just so everyone knows, we've saved all the super chats. I know we're pulling up random ones on the screen, but we saved the super chats so we can actually like address them. We're
coming up to those.
Yep.
Now-ish, I think.
Yeah. Unless there's any other topics you guys want to bring up today.
Well,
Picard.
Oh shit. Okay.
Fucking.
Oh, he's
I
gone.
haven't watched Picard at all either, so I
Not
can't
Picard.
contribute to
I've seen all of Picard, all 3 seasons of Picard. What did you want to say about Picard?
The season 3, this season, the writing so far. I mean, yeah, people say they could still mess it up, but so far, oh my god, that is the only show that I am like eating for right now. They have done a phenomenal job. Like the first 2 seasons don't count. We don't those. What are those? This season of Picard, and I'm a new Star Trek person. I can't even speak. I don't even understand what I'm saying, but I just love it. Whatever they're doing, whoever they hired for the writing, they need to outsource those people for some of the other shows because they're actually doing a really good job. The characters, the dialogue, the way they're putting the story together. At first, I didn't know how it was going to go, but it actually feels like Star Trek, and it feels like the kind of adventure that I'm excited to see. Like even Mandalorian, for the first 2 seasons, I was interested to see what the next episode was going to be. This, I can't wait. I find myself eager to know what's going to happen next.
I'll ask you guys this then. I'll feign interest. What changed between season 2 and season 3 that made this good? Was there a writer change?
Yes.
Okay, so there was that.
Feels
Okay.
Well, season 2 decided that the best thing to do with Star Trek is let's go back to the year 2000, early 2024, I think it was. And what we're going to ask is, how do we stop the coming fascism in the US presidential election of 2024? In other words, season 2 of Picard was basically saying, how do we stop Trump? Which is the opposite of what Star Trek is really supposed to be about. And then alongside that, you get Discovery, which brings in Stacey Abrams and makes her president of Earth, which I guess it means she's won an election at some point, but in the far future. Season 2 was, like season 1, quite petty, vindictive, and partisan and political. And season 3 has just given up on that. Season 3 has decided, well, what happens if we just show the fans vaguely memorable and heartwarming sort of callbacks to earlier seasons of Star Trek when people liked the show. And yeah, the fans have gone back to that. I don't think the writing isn't brilliant, and I think they are relying on nostalgia bait to compensate for that. But of all 3 seasons of Picard, it's the only one that even vaguely resembles what Star Trek is supposed to be about.
I think that's it. Because one of the commenters on my videos was like, we're like abused wives. We're so used to getting beaten that when we finally are treated well, we're like, no, this is great. Maybe that's part of it. We're so used to getting something that's awful that something that is slightly different from that or a slight improvement looks like a large improvement. So maybe that's it. And I the nostalgia baiting thing goes completely flat on me because I didn't grow up with Star Trek.
Yeah, I have nothing to be nostalgic about if I see it.
I'm just looking at it as someone who, I mean, of course, my husband tells me something because he's a big Star Trek fan. So he'll stop, he'll pause and be like, well, this is from this time and this is from this time. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I do got to say, Vex has to peace out because she has another stream to hop on.
Well, just before you jump off, Vex, do you want to tell us what's coming up on your channel? What you're doing? Well, you're doing something immediately now, but what's coming up next for you?
Honestly, I'm just like I'm all over the place in streams. I have no fucking idea what my next video is going to be.
Fair enough.
Like I got the big one out. It's off my mind, and I'm just like. Yeah. So, if something hits me, it might hit me next weekend. I'm debating like a Rockstar Games video.
Oh yeah.
If not, the Tetris movie comes out this Friday, and I got a free Apple subscription. So.
Tetris movie.
So
I might be interested in that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for being here.
Nice meeting you.
Alteori. Oh God, fuck! I'm butchering
Alteori.
It's okay.
Alteori. It was a pleasure to meet your OBS 4-headed fox.
I know. I don't know why that happened. It just happened, and I couldn't get rid of it. I was like,
Okay, I thought it was a
whatever.
stylistic choice.
I did
but
too.
No, it
so I was
was
like,
not.
yeah.
For people who do want to follow you where you're going after this, where are you streaming next?
I'm actually on Cannoli Sasquatch's channel. We do a movie review show every Monday.
You're gonna have to spell that for me.
Yeah.
Okay, Cannoli, C-A.
Cannoli, put it in the chat, bro.
NN.
I don't think he's in here. They're waiting for me.
Oh, they're waiting for you. Sorry. We're
See,
playing your stream.
Okay, C-A-N-N.
Cannoli, yes.
Yeah, and then Sasquatch, all one word.
SASQUAT-CH. Got it. Thank you.
I see it.
But yeah, I'm there every Monday, and March has been John Wick month, so I guess I know you guys are probably like way done discussing John Wick 4, but I have not discussed John Wick 4.
Yeah.
So we are going to go do that now.
You have a YouTube
But
channel too.
I
so-
do, yes. I have a freshly born YouTube channel.
It's
So
fresh.
subscribe to
Look
it.
forward to seeing more of Vex because she's one of my favorites to bring aboard. So
And I'll stick the link to your channel in the description for the video as well, so people watching back.
thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Have a beautiful rest of your week, guys. Again,
have a
it
good
was
You
stream,
too,
Vex.
and thank you.
I
Bye.
Hold on. Where's the button?
I'll say I can remove you. There we go. We got it.
Right. So as we're coming up to the 3-hour mark, I reckon super chats, and we'll draw this to a close. Unless anyone has anything else they want to bring up.
Not for this week. We got a whole week of accumulating topics to talk about.
Oh my God,
for
yes, we
Monday
do.
next week. Yeah. Let us start. I think you might have read a couple, but I'm not sure.
Well, we'll go from the top.
All right,
not?
fuck it. Mr. Talk About It. Mr. Talk About It.
I like that username. That's so cool.
For $2, the sequels are a parody of the original John Wick. Yeah, you could probably make that argument. But it's a series that's made to be parody. It's a parody of like the action genre. It's kind of the point. But they did get a little more extreme as they go. The fourth one really is, super extreme too. But it ties together.
It's a given with action movies.
Yeah, but it ties together like what started the series, brings it back to the dog, the wife, and still maintaining that glorious absurdity that's brought it to where it is. Oh, I think you did read this one, sir. I think
we did this one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So move on.
Moving on. Jose Gonzalez for $5. Thank you. I think it's also fair to point out the precedence of John's character. There's a chasm of depth between John versus Jake. Both.
Did you say chasm?
I did. As soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, did I just say chasm? Chasm.
You can't say that around Platoon.
I know. I was like, oh, I'm not getting away with that one. As soon
It's
as
like
it came out of my
Americans
fucking
say
mouth.
chassis as opposed to chassis in a car.
Yeah. We also, you guys made fun of me once for saying niche, and it's like 50-50 here. It's niche or niche.
Niche.
No,
No, it's not 50-50. It's correct or incorrect.
No,
It's niche.
In America, I'm fucking telling you.
In
Either
America.
that or, and remember, we
Okay.
do everything better, so stop questioning me.
Okay, Randy Marsh, in America, fine.
I have integrity, all right?
Wow.
Sorry.
Oh, that's gone.
You're fucking me all up. That was the same one. I just brought it back.
Okay.
Here, why don't you read the next one?
Okay.
Mr.
From-
Literacy.
Well, yeah. Eyes Full of Sky, about Bourne. My favorite scene in any action movie is the Bourne trilogy's mountain cabin / sniper scene. So well realized in how Bourne acts / reacts. I have a feeling that's in one of the later Bourne films I haven't seen, so I can't really comment. But
That is a really memorable scene. That was hella fun. I feel like they tried to imitate that too in what was the Daniel Craig James Bond Skyfall. I feel like they tried to play with that a little bit.
oh yeah,
in the climax.
everything about the Craig Bond films is just trying to do Bourne, which
Yeah,
is disappointing
yeah.
but understandable.
It was big at the time, and Hollywood's all about trends.
Mm-hmm.
All right, literacy man, go ahead, carry on.
Oh my god! Oh no, I'm bad with names though. Michael, Lockerman.
I think
We'll go
so.
with that for 500. I don't know what KES is, but Korean? I don't know. Anyway, the best scene in John Wick 4 is the one in which he shot his way through a building with dragon's breath rounds. Yes!
Yes, that was
I got
fucking
Hotline
awesome.
Miami vibes. Well, it was, except that it reminded me of Call of Duty, and so...
It reminded me of a video game. It reminded me of Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation 1.
Oh,
top
God,
down.
Yeah.
And again, like in my review, which is coming out tomorrow, I swear to God, I'm going to stay up all night to fucking finish it. But I said this, that something like that was clearly intentional. And normally if I say it's like a video game, I do not mean it as a compliment. But if it's intended to, I mean, like, shit, what am I supposed to say? Like, they did it, and they did a good job. If that was their intent.
Though it says something about the film that I don't remember how he got the flaming rounds, but anyway.
Wasn't it from the Bowery King? Like he took the new pistol. Oh no, John Wick also has like a running theme of understandably picking other people's guns up and fucking using them. I think that might have been that situation.
Yeah, so it is just Call of Duty. Okay.
Of course it is. It's Call of Duty meets Metal Gear Solid. M. Hunter Stevie. I can read that name. Fuck yeah. $4.99. I feel like the Little Platoon would work out to a podcast with a very solid take on Lord of the Rings. Yeah, Faramir does represent that. Yeah.
Faramir represents many things, but yes. I'd be up for that, theoretically, I guess. Not that I've not already done like 4 hours of video on Rings of Power, but never any mind. Yeah,
and
anyway.
Need to finish it at some point. By the way.
Yeah, God. Only 6 episodes to go.
Yeah. FMC 917 for $1.99. Thank you. The ballerina takes place between 3 and 4. Aha. So it's like a sequel.
Not a prequel.
Yeah, it's like a sequel prequel.
3.5.
Not really. Yeah, it's a 3.5. Nice. Thank you for that info. I didn't remember any of that shit. Melvin Deeply, our man, for 5 fake monies. I don't know. I just don't fucking know.
Hang on, it's in pounds. That's objectively worth more than your weird currency.
Yeah, by
is.
what? Like 2 cents right now?
Well, yeah.
I have to say that. All right.
I think Alteori can read this one.
Yeah.
Base
if you're up for
Alteori.
You were going off on a tangent earlier, and I felt
what
the
did I
same
say?
way.
I don't remember.
I don't remember. Oh, this was like 2 hours ago now at this point, so I don't remember. But there was a point where I was like, yes, this is why we brought you on. You're fucking based. Larry for $10 made you look.
Oh God, that profile
and
picture
we did.
is horrible.
Yeah, you did.
Ew, what is that?
It's the Mona Lisa with a beard, I
It's
think.
not the Mona Lisa. It's like a Mr. Bean mixed with Freddy Krueger mixed with Momo.
Oh my goodness.
The Momo Lisa.
I'm gonna dream about it. God damn it.
Platoon, you take one.
Grendel Vivat. How long before someone clips this stream and declares Little Platoon homophobic to our collective laughter? 1 hour or 2. I've been declared
that would be
homophobic
hilarious.
many times. It's happened a lot already. There was a guy a while ago. Yeah. No, there was a guy a while ago who was commenting on a YouTube channel under the name Andrew something or other and told me that I was being offensive against the LGBT community. And so I said, yeah, well, because I offended lesbians, I think it was. Like, okay, well, stop being offended on other people's behalf. So he said, I'm not. So I said, well, you're defending lesbians and your name's Andrew. So, okay, Andrew. Then he changed his channel name to a girl's name and commented again, which was impressive. But yeah,
that entire situation sounds a lot like what we were talking about over the weekend.
Oh, yes, it does. We may yet cover that. Who knows? But yeah. Oh no, I am definitely homophobic despite being homo stuff. Yeah.
I also hate white people. Nick S for 1999. Thank you. Of all the myriad interactions and experiences that comprise the pieces of the puzzle that is any given person, they choose to ignore all of that in favor of what fiddly bits the character prefers. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the fiddly bits are kind of important, but they're indicatively important. They're not important in their own right.
Yeah, that should not be the basis of your character.
yeah, it's hard to be gay if you don't like dick, but that doesn't mean that all the character is dick.
Fucking A. Ginger Adventure for $5. Thank you. Little Platoon, do you see action movies as stories of expressing id as a storytelling mechanism itself?
Yes.
What's id?
So
The
id
id.
is part of the sort of the Freudian trichotomy. So Freud divides the personality into id, ego, and superego. And I'm going to botch this, but id is basically, I think, id is kind of the unreconstructed sort of base emotive instinct in a character before you implant like logic, reason, rationality, personality to it. It is just that your basic instinct as a person. I might have got that badly wrong, but I think that's what it is. So action movies are an expression of the base male desire to be dominant
Badass.
and largely through and badass, yes, largely through expressions of physical accomplishment, and violence is one of those. So yeah,
Like
action movies are
disposition or something.
yeah, I think so. It's like your lizard brain man.
Yeah, I just to get the dictionary definition of id. So the part of the mind in which innate instinctive impulses and primary processes are manifest.
Yeah, so that's what I just said, but just more concisely.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's basically
Typical.
that. Yes. In half the words, the dictionary did the job. Yeah, I think that there's reason, I think, to suspect that. That's not a bad interpretation.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I also have no problem with that. Fuck yeah. Objectively a cat for $2. Farmer Giles of Ham is fantasy and comedy.
Former Giles of Ham?
Giles
Farmer?
What is that?
Former Giles of
Farmer
Giles.
Giles.
From it's a book by Tolkien.
It is?
Book by J.R.R. Tolkien.
Oh, it is. I am not familiar, so can't
Never
comment.
heard of that either.
I had never. You're like a Rings guy. You never.
I
heard of
don't
that?
think
He's a cat.
this is part of it though. So
Interesting.
like I know a lot of the original myths for the Silmarillion. I don't remember that being one of them, so it might be a different thing he was writing.
Well then. John Doe for 10 fake dollars. Record of Lotus War is a good serious D&D story based on the author's campaign. Slayers shows what D&D campaigns usually become. Lena is an adorable little munchkin shit. I don't know any of these references, but I
gonna
like the
look
way you
that up.
worded it all the
Yeah.
same.
I will just point out that a real money is worth like an extra quarter, 25% more of your fake money. So it's not a fake dollar; it's a
that's
more
good.
valuable.
We have a lot more of ours though, so
Yes,
whatever.
true.
I will buy you and sell you and buy you again.
Damn.
Let's see. Turd Rocket for 10 real dollars.
Good name.
Mr.
Worth
Platoon,
less than the fake ones, but okay, fine.
Mr. Platoon, I am making a review for D&D for a D&D film on that very subject. Do we remember what subject? Shit. This is what happens when you get it late. Sorry. The issue of the game being unadaptable for a film in a way very unlike story-driven video games. I'll send when it's done.
Send it, please. I think that is the question of whether you can adapt D&D, given that it's so fundamentally audience led as opposed to like top down. I think, well, on the assumption I'm right about that, yeah, I'd be interested in seeing that. So ping it over. I'm on Twitter at PlatoonPod, I think is my handle.
Yes, it is.
Glad someone knows because I don't remember.
I do, because I had tagged you in it earlier today. So,
Okay.
Yeah. Here, you take the next few, sir.
Mr. Taco About It for $5. Another more recent example. John Wick goes from New York to desert to Japan, back to New York, then to Belgium, then Paris, and then the grave.
Yes.
No spoilers.
Oh shit! No spoilers. Anybody?
Well, no, because we don't know that he has gone to the grave. We just don't know that. It's
Yeah, but-
implied, but it might not be. It might not be true.
Yeah, they can do it either way. Just
Yeah.
fucking now you know, everybody. My bad. But yeah,
No, but it's not a bad example of how like a lot of films just forget that time exists when it's not on the screen. And it's not just time, it's actions as well. So lots of films, and The Mandalorian is very, very guilty of this. When a character isn't on the screen, they just kind of forget the character exists, so the character doesn't progress at the same time rate as every other person.
Oh my god, like the freaking bird.
Yes.
That thing just it irated me so much. I know it shouldn't get me that mad, but it really made me angry.
Yes,
Oh my
yeah, exactly. Like, the whole stakes of the episode are, oh my god, the bird's got the kid, the bird's going to eat it. And then they kind of forget that for a day and a half. Yeah. And then it regurgitates the kid, and he's still undigested. Like,
oh my god.
Oh my god, bro.
I am I'm completely with you on that. That's maddening. Ugh. Ugh.
Mando.
Well, Alteori, you're big on Mando. You can read this one.
Full homage
if you didn't mind.
Mando season 1, all homages to good /B/U. I don't know what that is. Then Predator, the tank scene in Indy 3, and Back to the Future. Cub, Wolf, other Japanese film ripoff.
Good BU is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. My bad.
Oh.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, no, I was lost too. That's
awesome
an old
Western.
Western with Clint Eastwood. It's a very good film.
Yeah, very, very good.
But
is Indy 3 Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
I would guess yes.
Yeah, there's...
Never watched those either.
What?
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
Hang on, no.
You're
So
I've
I've got someone saying I have not watched it, and I've got someone else saying I don't blame you. I'm not sure which of the two is worse. Have neither of you seen Indiana Jones?
No, I did when I was a little kid, and I just...
I know the theme song.
That's what I was saying. It's not whatever.
Okay, neither of you
parents
are
love it
welcome
though. My parents
and you don't like John Wick, bro. So we're square. I think.
Well, no. I mean, like Indiana Jones versus John Wick.
John Wick would win that fucking fight.
I don't think he would.
What? Didn't he have like a whip that he uses a whip all the time?
And a gun.
John Wick
killed
people with a fucking pencil, man. He's Indy's fucked.
Indy goes up against a huge like Sikh bodybuilder with a sword and shoots him in the head.
You watched John Wick 4? Did you see him fucking take that tank of a man out? He threw him over the fucking stairs.
Yeah, but Indy did that with less technology. Indy didn't need a bulletproof fucking jacket.
First of all, he didn't have
Indy's
the jacket
an adventurer,
yet in that
isn't he? Isn't he like an adventurer person that finds fossils? Like
no, he steals valuable artifacts from native peoples and preserves them.
People
John Wick's an assassin. Like I don't think the two are on the same. I never watched Indy, but I don't think they're on the same.
You need to watch Indy because they are all brilliant. Except
you know what
4
you can
and
do,
5.
Alteori? You can do what he did to me last night. Once we decided we were going to talk about John Wick today. As he's watching the first movie, he's basically texting me going, "What's the fucking point? Why is this good?"
Hang on, you told me this had nothing to do with Taken, but hang on, isn't the plot the same as Taken?
Oh Christ, Jesus Christ! So that's what I was dealing with last night. Is Platoon texting me this bullshit while I'm trying to write my John
Watch
Wick
Indy.
review.
Indy's a good film. Indy's brilliant in a way that John Wick isn't.
Was there a scene in one of the Indy movies where they were eating a bucket of monkey brains out of a skull?
Yes, that's.
I do remember that clip. I remember that. I don't remember what happened afterwards, and I remember faces melting.
I agree. Well done, Dave L. I'm with you.
My opinion of myself is high enough. Don't worry, I got it. I got it for everybody. It's all good.
Genuinely, these are brilliant, well-written, unique action films, and they put John Wick into the ground compared to those. Like, John Wick is good visually. Indy is good on a story level as well as being groundbreaking visually. Like, Indy is just watch it. If you, it's like saying you've not seen Empire Strikes Back. I've
never
Indiana
seen
Jones.
Empire Strikes Back.
Oh my fucking god!
What? Okay, wait. Okay, what is Empire Strikes Back? Is it the first Star Wars movie?
No, it's the second. It's the best one. It's the second one. What?
I will say it. Alteori. I cannot
Hang
believe
on.
that we're talking about this right now that you haven't seen it.
Look, I have an explicit thing for these exact moments. Let me just do that. There we are. Oh no. How have you not seen
Yeah, and
Empire
I'll say
Strikes
this.
Back?
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Like, for real.
Okay, to be fair, I only recently watched the first Star Wars because everyone was bugging me and saying I needed to watch it. So I watched
Yes.
the first one, and it was okay. You know, it was.
I also have-
yeah.
There we go.
But I didn't. I'll watch the other ones.
Fuck.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you need to watch Empire Strikes Back and all the indie films, but first you need to watch Empire Strikes Back. That's the most iconic of all the iconic films. Like, how have you not seen this?
I'm not a huge Star Wars fan by any stretch.
Because
but
I know most
Empire's
of the story
really
though.
good. Yeah,
Not most of the
Empire's really
story.
But you don't need to. But
Okay,
no.
there's Luke Skywalker and there's Anakin. Someone's hand gets chopped off, and that's the guy's father, and then he's evil in the dark side and doesn't like sand. That's basically it.
It's what? No, it isn't. No, but okay.
Oh my goodness.
I'll watch it and I'll see first. Because the other thing is too, like, I'm afraid, like, what if I do watch it, right?
He
And then
doesn't
I
not like
it?
sand until 30 years before that film. So no, the sand
Oh.
thing's irrelevant. He did then it's Darth Vader. The whole "I am your father" moment, which every
What?
other film since then has tried to pillage, has come from that film.
Do you not like sand?
Because George Lucas can't write dialogue is the reason for that.
Because
but
it's
yes.
goofy nonsense.
Also,
Oh.
no,
It's
well,
unintentionally
You're
goofy.
mean. Into it.
in defense, Anakin comes from Tatooine, which is a very sandy planet. He's a slave. He escapes the planet, so he doesn't like sand because it reminds him of his time as a slave as a kid and the fact he had to lose his mum and leave her behind.
That's
So
why they keep
it's-
showing Tatooine and Mandalorian, because that's where Anakin comes
Well, that's also a profound lack of imagination, but yes, that's part of the reason.
from. Okay.
It
It gets everywhere.
It's caused it gets everywhere.
It gets everywhere. It's similar to what I say about white people. They're just everywhere. And they're vanilla as fuck. When I cook them, I have to season the shit out of them. Who is next here? Mr. Taco Bout It for another $1.99. Thank you. Arcane and Lego Movie were good. Just saying.
Oh, everyone keeps saying to watch Arcane.
Arcane, very,
very.
very,
Everyone
very
says
good.
Arcane's
It
great.
is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I only watched
not
the
seen
first
Lego
episode,
Movie,
and it was like, okay, this is okay, but I didn't see what the big thing was. So maybe I gotta watch more of it.
No, dude,
Wait,
because
did-
I started with just the one and thought, yeah, it's all right. But then, no, carry on with it. It's a very good series.
All right, I'll do that. I'll forget, but then I'll remember again, and I'll do it.
But don't do that until you've seen Indiana Jones and Empire Strikes Back, because they're way more important.
Yeah, it's so funny because you review so fucking much stuff on your channel, but you've just missed the primaries.
Well, I know. Trust me, my husband tells me that all the time. He's like, "How can you be a movie review channel? You've never seen these." Like,
Well,
I
because
review
like,
the things I watch. Like, you know,
Right, which is
I'm
a
just big
shit ton of
movie
content,
person. Like, I used to
Right.
play video games before I watched movies. I didn't used to watch movies. He got me into that, watching movies and shows. And so I still
And
have,
then you're
a
like,
huge
I'm gonna-
catalog.
so wait, you didn't even watch movies and shows really, and then you started to, and then you started a YouTube channel, and you have over 500,000 subscribers.
Well, okay,
What the
subscribers.
fuck?
So no, the subscribers don't mean anything. No, but what
No, I
happened,
know, but like, it's it's.
I
Fucking
used to watch.
hilarious.
Okay, here's what I used to watch with my mom. The only thing that we actually like got close on was the fact that she loved horror and I loved horror. So she introduced me to a lot of horror stuff. And when I was a baby, they introduced me to a lot of Disney stuff. And anything with dinosaurs and monsters, I love those. But then I just got addicted to playing video games like all the time. So I just didn't. Movies were a waste of time to me. And then yeah, I started dating, and then people were like, "You didn't watch this? Oh my god!"
And then you
Then they
realized
started
they are not
introducing-
a waste of time.
Yeah, and then House of Cards was the first thing where I was like, "This is awesome," and then I wanted to talk about it.
Hold
and
on. House of Cards,
Uh-oh.
the American one or the British original?
Oh my god, are you being for real right now? Was there really a British? Oh my god, I'm.
Yep,
What?
from the early 1980s.
What?
The
Well, okay,
kind of
was it about
education
politics?
I've learned about this is like also just shows me how little of a shit Americans give about that kind of stuff, because I didn't even know any of this shit was British first.
Oh, watch the
I
British
had no
one. The
idea. That
British
is
House of Cards
amazing.
is very, very good.
One question.
American one
though.
is quite good.
Is the British House of Cards completed?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because after Frank Sinatra, after what's his name?
Frank Underwood.
Frank Underwood. Yeah.
Frank
After
Underwood.
Kevin Spacey, that's his name. After they kicked him off for the whole thing we were talking about earlier, I didn't have any need to watch it any further than that. So I don't even know. And then for what I know, from what people are saying, it just went downhill after he left because they just rode off
Yeah,
the train.
I can see that. The
Yeah.
British one is as many British things are. It ends after 3 seasons, so it's quite short by comparison. But it's completely finished. It was from 1984 to 88, I think it was. So it's old timey. So you have to
Really
sort of get
old.
used to the. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's like before I was alive, even. So like you have to adjust to the fact that it's quite old fashioned. But yeah, the writing is better. It's based more closely on the book series that created it as well.
There was a
And-
book series?
Yeah. It was written by a former member of parliament, who was a cabinet member for a time. So he was using like first-hand knowledge to inform this storyline, and it's more operatic in a sense. It's more theatrical. It's less cynical, but it's well worth watching. It's very good.
Nothing wrong
Well,
with
I have a question. I'm going to sound very ignorant right now, so please forgive me ahead of time. But since House of Cards, the American version, was talking about the political landscape or the fights within that, is the British House of Cards about the monarchy? Or is this...
Season 2 is, yeah. Season
okay.
1 and 3 are not, but season 2 features as one of its main. So basically, it's an alternative history. So it's what happens if Margaret Thatcher leaves office, and what happens if the Queen dies around the same time. So season 2 is about effectively saying what happens if Prince Charles takes to the crown at the same time as you've got this arch Thatcherite politician, because the Queen and Thatcher famously didn't get on very well. So it's about sort of like how does society balance this progressive left-wing monarch and this right-wing libertarian prime minister who fundamentally disagree with each other. It's really fascinating for that reason. I like the American House of Cards because the American House of Cards in its early seasons tries to do the same thing without just aping it. So
Yeah.
it's very Clintonite. The first 2-3 seasons of the American House of Cards is sort of like this is the Bill Clinton administration
Yeah,
and
I
its
can see
relationship with
that.
power. Yeah. But the
I
British
loved
one
it.
it's great. I like the American one, but the British one is, it's not as relevant to American audiences, but it's still very, very well written and performed. And a lot of the actors who are in it are either established Shakespearean type actors, or they will go on to be very, very well regarded in the industry. So it's definitely worth watching.
Okay. Write that on the list, too.
Eyes Full of Sky for $5. I grew up on a ranch. We gave them a good and happy life, and that's why I was fine with the death of the farm animal, even as a kid. Factories suck. Yep.
Yeah.
True.
I come
Yep.
from a line of farmers as well. Same thing.
It's incredibly hard to buy like actual well tended to animal food or for the food, like especially I live in Nashville now, and I thought it would be easier, and it is if I want to pay like an absorbent amount of money, but
I guess you have to have like farmers all around you because we have farmers all around us. Like everyone has cows over here, so it's like meat's definitely cheaper than it was where I came from.
oh yeah, when I lived in Maine, like there's farming all around me, so it was a lot cheaper up there. Theodore Pinnock, is that right?
There's kings.
Pinnock, I think.
Theodore Pinnock for $5.
I read that in a British voice.
Theodore Pinnock for $5 fake dollars. There is no
No such thing as American English. There's only the King's
King's
English, and then
English.
there are mistakes. Wow.
To be fair, that's better than my American accent, so well done, I guess.
Because this one is for you, I won't read it, but I wanted to give it a go with my British accent, but I'll leave it alone. We'll wait for next time.
No, try it. Try your British accent, please do.
Chris
Shut up.
Townsend for $9.99. Little Platoon, big fan. Have you seen Knock to the Cabin? New Shyamalan movie. Protagonists are a gay couple and child, but never feels like the message. Just interesting characters in a weird world.
Oh, you messed up. You didn't read the message in the Scottish accent.
The message.
The message.
I don't know. He says it in a weird reverberating accent.
Yeah.
So
It's like
not
now
really
every time I
Scottish
hear
flair to
someone
it.
say that, we all know it's him. It was like, oh, goddamn marketing.
That was
I
my
don't
first
think
time
I could-
using a British one in a while. So give me
I don't
a couple
think I could even
days.
do an American one. Little Platoon.
I
Oh,
knew
it's
always
gone.
Always. It's never a normal American accent. It's fucking always.
What does that
Southern.
even mean, though? Like,
Big fan. Have you ever seen?
Do it. Do it.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh, wait.
Oh god. Oh, can I even recapture that majesty? Shit.
I'm gonna mute myself so I don't interrupt.
No, because I can't stop laughing now.
Oh my fuck! It is always American though. I heard Drinker try and do it too, and it's fucking Southern again. Always.
Howdy,
Have you ever
y'all.
seen Knock at the Cabin? The new Shyamalan movie? Protagonists are gay. Couple. And a child, but never feels like the message. Just interesting characters in the real world.
Oh
my
my
dog
god!
thinks I'm dying.
Oh man. If you were to relate like or compare mine to like what location in the UK was mine closer to?
I don't think you're quite yet, like, you're somewhere in the sea.
Oh, so I'm like surrounding the UK, but I haven't touched land yet.
Yes.
All right. Well, at least I instantly knew that what kind of one you were going for.
I can try my, like, Bill Buckley transatlantic accent. That's, well, it's gone. Fuck it, I can't do that anymore. But okay, yeah. No.
And, Melvin Deeply, the movie Cynic, are Southerners not normal? No, they're fucking not, dude. No, I live here now, and I know what Northerners are like and what Southerners are like. And well, to be fair, none of them are fucking normal. Because you got a Northern accent in Maine where it's like, holy fuck, dude, I drove down I-95 and parked my car right on that fucking lawn, dude.
Weirdly, that's more English than your English accent is.
Well, it is New England, sir.
Yeah, it does. I can kind of see the Cockney, yeah.
Yeah,
A little
yeah.
bit.
And then you got the South like, well, oh my stars. I'll tell you, I'm going to go right down here to church. I'm going to get myself a biscuit. That's where I live now. That's what I get to hear.
And then you get like the California guy is like, oh my god. But they only do that in movies. I don't think anybody actually talks like that unless you're like
Oh
a
no,
surfer.
and they're like massive vocal fry. All the girls speak with vocal fries. It's like, oh my god. Like,
It's awful.
I'm
LA. I live in LA.
Oh god, and I catch myself doing that sometimes, and I want to slap myself because I don't know why.
That is all for the super chats. So
Yay.
I think we're done for today. Unless anyone's got anything else.
did it mean like that is all of the super chats? And
Not-
so we're totally done with this stream.
Them's all the super chats. They're gone now. That's all of the super chats. Maybe people will send more next week, but I'm not sure.
That's better, actually. That's quite good.
I had to lower the octave so I can ease into it.
Yes.
Yes. Stop copying me.
That's very good for an American. That's not bad.
Hey, cool. I'll take that. I'll practice for next week too.
But I have a question before we leave.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's your microphone's name?
Oh, this thing?
Yeah.
Like, Like, what name is it? Did I give
Is
it?
it?
Oh, do
Is
you
it like?
do you
Is,
not
is it?
like?
What model is it, or like what do you name your
Oh.
penis
What do you
name?
name it?
Oh, I don't. Blue. It's
Oh, okay.
even though
Alright.
it changes multiple, it's multiple colors. You motherfuckers, I love you. You sent more super chats in, you bastards. Oh god, Chris Townsend for $4.99. An extra tip because I'm a Southerner, and yes, Platoon nailed how we sound.
No, don't
The
you mean
Matthew
an
McConaughey
extra
type.
tip because I'm a Southerner and yeah, Platoon nailed how we sound. No, it's not Northern, Southern even. That's bad. No, I'll recant that. That's just
my
shit.
exaggerated one would be
Sound.
an extra tip
Sound?
because I'm a
Sound.
Southerner,
Sound?
and yes, Platoon nailed how we sound.
Oh yeah, that's better. Definitely.
There we go. All right then. And
Great.
Ginger Adventure for $2 more.
More.
There we
$2.
go. You got to add an extra syllable almost. Mower. Like that. Oh my God.
Mar. Yeah, no, that's bad. Mar.
Not quite. Try New York Italian. I got you, Ginger Adventure. No problem there. No problem, sweetheart. All right. I think we are done. Alteori, thank you so fucking much for coming on
It's
the
been
show.
great to have you.
It's been fun.
Even though you don't see the big movies, you just see
I'm
like
sorry.
99% of all the other movies.
I saw Alien. I saw all the Alien movies.
MJ UK 84 for $2.50 of fake money too. I'm delaying the stream ending. Yeah,
I'm delaying the stream ending.
I'm gonna delay this bitch. All right then.
Ted Lasso.
Platoon, thanks for being on your own show with me. That's also my show.
Yeah, thank you for impersonating me in chat. That's great. That's really good fun. That's good.
Yeah,
Brilliant. Thank you.
anytime. All right, guys. I love you all. This is so much fun. But
Aw.
We'll be back next week.
See you next week, and it'll be an hour earlier too to make up for Platoon's stupid time switch stuff.
Real time. We invented it. Greenwich Mean Time is time.
I can't
Everything
say we
else
made,
is just a fake.
I can't say we made it better because we still have stupid fucking daylight savings. So whatever. Yeah. All right, guys, we are out of here. See you next week. Bye.